doesn't deserve to be treated equally. But I think more importantly, it makes the show more entertaining and more educational if I don't treat everybody equally. I've said many times before, this is not a safe space, but I believe it's a fair and a reasonable space. And the Mod Squad has complete authority at any time to say, hey, Steve, I think you're being unreasonable. Steve, you're being unfair. Steve, you need another break. The Mod Squad can break in at any time and say that because, and I'll just say it very briefly, I don't pick my Mod Squad because they're an echo chamber. To the contrary, half the Mod Squad, as far as I know, are not atheists. Half the Mod Squad, no, I would say all of the Mod Squad does not agree with me all the time. I've got nothing against echo chambers. There are some very successful echo chambers on Clubhouse on a regular basis that get more people than I do. But we have run this show the same way for 4.5 years. And that is we encourage the new speakers as well as the nieces and nephews to come on and talk about whatever you want. Even, in fact, I would argue, especially if you don't agree with one of my takes, we encourage you just to be respectful and completely disagree with me. So let's try Dave. Dave, would you like to say goodbye?
Yes, I think today we started with Star Trek, and then even though you claim to be atheist, but you were very liberal in the sense talking about God's plan, and you were also very accommodating with Europeans participants here from all Netherlands and UK, and we need this kind of room. This is very unique. This room brings people of different faiths, atheists, theists, to come here, and together we get to grow. And because of this light, you will always attract darkness coming here, attempting to destroy it. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure, first class escort to the VIP. And if anybody wants to cash out me, I don't have cash out. Sorry about that. Let's try Benjamin again. Benjamin, would you like to say goodbye? Benjamin, would you like to say goodbye? We'll come back to Benjamin one more time. Richard, would you like to say goodbye? Richard.
Yeah, I do have a quick. I want to go into something.
We've got some time. Take a couple of minutes.
Yeah. And this refers to the beginning of the show, the Gene Roddenberry and that whole thing. And I was trying to bring this up earlier, but that's okay. I want to refer to Joseph W. Campbell, if everybody on stage can think about this guy. He's an author who was famous for a book that he wrote called The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And he made a lot of commentary on popular culture. And I'm just going to read something very short. Joseph Campbell saw the myths we create in comics, TV shows, and movies as evidence of humanity's enduring need for meaning. Whether it's the journey of a Jedi, a superhero, or a starship crew, these stories are modern myths, echoes of ancient patterns emerging anew in our shared imagination. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, first class escort to the VIP. And we'll try one last time. Benjamin, would you like to say goodbye? Benjamin going once. Benjamin going twice. Okay, Mod Squatters, get together. Stretcher, all of us. Benjamin, first class escort to the VIP. And now we go to the Mod Squatters who do not get a first class escort to the VIP because they have to stay on stage doing the heavy lifting. Lynn, we haven't heard from you. We didn't call on you all day. So if you want, have a fresh five, but it is your closing thought and burning desire. Lynn.
Good morning, everybody. I was late getting up, so I was late getting here. My fault. I'm sorry. When I was here for, that was a great show. I appreciated being here. And we'll talk again another time.
Thank you. Did you want to do a shameless plug or no?
Sure. Christian will be out today as he's going to Great Wolf Lodge. And so I will be doing his Ask Young Elvis show right after yours today.
Everybody, if you haven't tried it out yet, after the show is over, in about 10 minutes or so, migrate over to Christian's room where Lynn is hosting Ask Young Elvis. Let's say goodbye to Cora. Cora, would you like to take a fresh five or whatever or say goodbye?
Well, first I'm going to say I'm jealous because I would like to be somewhere in California going down a water slide, but
I've invited you many times to come to Casa de Papel and go down a water slide.
Anyhow, I just fun show. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't pick up on Turkey Baster George there sooner, Uncle Steve. But anyway,
like I said, this weekend I am both technologically challenged as well as a little more visually challenged than normal. But the hearing works perfectly. I should have picked up on it. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, and Johnny, I don't intend to make you jealous. It's just, you know.
By the way, is that Johnny Bickle? Are you referring to Johnny? I saw Johnny Bickle come in the room. I'm sorry that he wasn't able to make it up. Johnny, hi. It's a pleasure to see you as always. And y'all, if you've never listened to John, mine too.
Yeah. He needs to narrate books. So, but yeah, there's a lot of people I've been seeing down in the goo there in the audience that I really enjoy speaking to. Mel was down there, Johnny. Folks I hope will come up on the stage and maybe like kind of occupy some of the airtime so that we, you know, can maybe not have so much of the focus on the regulars, you know. Not that we don't love the regulars, but, you know, getting folks up here that I know have great hot takes on things would be awesome. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Let's say goodbye to JCC, James Corletta. Would you like to say goodbye?
But of course, there's Steve-O. Another great room, great convo, great topic. I enjoyed it. And yes, I invited Mark up because he said something in the chat that I completely and utterly, vehemently disagree when I hear anybody say that about active atheism is promoting the faith of atheism. There is no quote-unquote faith in atheism, and this goes along with saying, some people say atheism is a religion. That's another tricky subject to bring up. It's not a religion. It's discussions like this that people misrepresent what atheism is that gets me all fired up. So that's why I brought him up. I wanted to talk with him, dialogue with him, but Scott and him had a great combo, so it was pretty interesting. So, yeah, with that, I bid everybody a great rest of your weekend. Happy trails to y'all. If you believe in God, good for you, but please, please don't make other people try to believe it.
Thank you, JCC. Violet, would you like to say goodbye?
Of course. Going back to the Star Trek, another theme I took from that show is trying to foster communication and coming together to see if maybe you guys can find common ground. And that's one of the things that I feel like we do here on your show. We let people give their take on things and perhaps find common ground with them. Really great show, Steve. I hope everybody has a great week, and bye.
Thank you. John, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, so I had to leave for a while because one of the things that I do to take my mind off the fact that the world is falling apart is math, logic, physics problems, things like that. It's really fun. It's really good at taking your mind off things. And I was just talking with Pro Lyrical. Some of you guys know about a problem. Like I was talking with Rohan and others in their room. So I'll just lay this problem out there. It's really a fun problem. So each one has a flipped coin that they don't get to see, but the other two do. Okay, and then so everybody then guesses what their coin is based on the two that they see. They can strategize beforehand, but they don't get to talk afterwards. They can decide what they're going to do, doing it. They see only the other two coins. They have to decide on that basis what to claim their coin is. And if 2 out of 3 of them get it right, then they will all go free. If 2 out of 3 of them make the right choice, they will all go free. And your assignment is to find a strategy, something they would decide to do beforehand, that has the maximum likelihood of setting them all free. It's a really fun problem, and it's an amazingly interesting solution. Maybe I'll talk about it another time.
Thank you. Before we move on, I've got one for you, Professor of Physics John Malincrot. I saw this one recently. Nobody else.
Well, I probably wouldn't have said that exactly, but yeah, it has 4 sides.
Fair enough. How do you draw a square with 3 lines?
Oh, is this going to be like this a semantic joke?
It's a thinking outside the box problem. How do you draw a square with 3 lines?
With 3 lines.
I'm gonna stump. I love it. I'm gonna stump Professor John. I'm gonna stump him. Go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna think about it while everybody else says goodbye. And if somebody else thinks I'm let me know.
How about if I just? We'll tell you what. Let's go to Sam. Sam. Okay, fair enough. How do you draw a square with 3 lines?
You draw a square, and next to it you draw 3 lines.
There you go.
He's close. You draw a square with 3 lines inside the square. Sam got it. Yes, exactly. Very good, Sam.
But I bet Cora is right. I bet you could fold the paper in some way.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say goodbye to Sam.
Goodbye, everyone. It was a great room. I didn't have anything to contribute, but I learned a lot from all you guys who described the finer points of Star Trek. And I want to especially thank the people who commented in the chat. You guys are extremely funny. The chat today was a lot of fun to read. I'm sure some of the comments were serious, but I took it all as a joke and laughed a lot. Thank you.
And much thanks to the Mod Squad, because I rarely see anything in the chat, probably less than 10, if not less than 5%. I rely on the Mod Squad to moderate the chat. With that, let's say goodbye to Alfonso. Alfonso, would you like to say goodbye? Alfonso going once, Alfonso going twice. He's probably with family IRL. Yeah.
Can I go in a minute?
Yes, you can. Let's say goodbye to Reverend Scott. Reverend Scott.
Shot out of a cannon.
Anytime you combine Star Trek with religion, you know it's going to be a damn.
Oh my God! And we kept the intensity up for 3 hours.
Yes.
Where are you going to find this? Anywhere on the Clubhouse?
No 5 seconds of dead air, even though I've got Clubhouse technology and sight problems. Yes.
Uncle Steve, this is the XO signing up.
Thank you, and last but not least, Alfonso, the founder, our fearless founder in the Atheism House. Alfonso, would you like to say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks for a great show, as always. Yeah, I think it was great. I wish we could have gone a little bit more on the whole conversation on Star Trek and spirituality, because that's one of, not precisely because of Star Wars, but how spirituality fits in a secular context, how useful it is to meditate. I think even if people lost their religion, it would be worthwhile to have a space where they can connect with something that feels like a containment, to be able to reflect and rest. And I think that's what prayer is. You have the image of someone, something you care about, where you just have a concept, right? A metaphor. And that's one thing I think helps a lot of us in the community, not to speak about a community that is cohesive, supportive, helpful, which is something that's very hard to find in secular circles. those who are different. But that's part of the human condition. And we all suffer the human condition. Thanks, Moskwa. Thanks, Steve. And thank you, Clubhouse community.
And with that, we are done. We will be back next Saturday with Ask Uncle Steve. And next Sunday, again, with another edition of Ask the Atheist. Both shows are 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I sincerely wish, on behalf of the Mod Squad, that all of you that have been here today, including but not limited to the nieces and nephews, have a fantastic rest of your weekend, you, your friends, and your family. And we will close it out with this. I just love coming here on Saturdays or Sundays, on the weekends, and doing the shows. It's great to be back with the Mod Squad, nieces and nephews, and of course, old friends. Take care, everybody, and be careful on the Clubhouse streets.
Sat on their park bench like pumpkins. A newspaper blown through the grass falls on the round toes of the high shoes of the old friends. A white woman is running, and y'all did not like the fact is that a black man was able to run this country for 8 years. And because that black man didn't do exactly what y'all wanted him to do, because y'all didn't give him the Congress, let me repeat that, y'all did not give him the Congress to be able to fill out everything that he was supposed to do, and then y'all did not hold y'all state representatives accountable when it came to ACA and making sure they followed federal mandates and different things like that, and make sure your state and local governments followed whatever was going on, whatever that y'all want, because again, y'all half-ass vote. And that's why we got the monster in office that we have now. Y'all cannot tell me that this is a successful president when 7 months in, seven, not 17, not 2 years, 7 months in, we have literally seen the damn near destruction of our fucking federal government. You haven't seen a man who literally said, we're going to release the Epstein files, and then said there's nothing to fucking see.
Yeah, I just want to say,
you got it.
People keep saying, oh, we want an outsider, and they like Trump because he's an outsider, implying that he is above corruption. When this MF is the most corrupt individual I've ever seen in my fucking life. Even to have MAGA hats, like, displayed on the desk of the White House. Like, do y'all understand?
And planning a UFC fight on the fucking lawn.
Like, this is the most corrupt person that, you know, that we have ever seen, right? And so, maybe that's what you guys are talking about, an outsider? Because when people say, oh, I want an outsider, I'm thinking, okay, you want an outsider because he's not going to be corrupt? But Trump is fucking corrupt. Look who was with him by his side. He had, like, Jeff Bezos, like, when he was, like, inaugurated, it wasn't like all the major billionaires? Like, this man is corrupt. So, like, why do people keep saying they want an outsider when an outsider could be just as corrupt as an insider? I do think we need to take money out of politics. That is something that I think needs to happen, right? We can't have all these lobbyists and all, like, and financial incentives for people to be in power, and that we do need to get rid of. But people keep saying Trump is corrupt, and that if Trump is an outsider and that's why they voted for him, it's very strange. I want to ask you what you think. I don't want to. Maybe this is a bit of a derail of what you think of Mondami's election and what that could potentially do. Because you kept mentioning the Tea Party, and I'm wondering, is DSA perhaps the Democratic response to the Tea Party?
So everybody doesn't really know Mondami's thing.
That's who he beat. What you call it in New York, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Unless you really follow politics, like where is the politics?
Yeah. He beat old dude, which I knew that old dude after that scandal and stuff like that. Even though Como, I felt like he shouldn't have ran again. You already went through a hellish fucking storm. Just go away. Your family already have a legend that you really sort of fucked up. But I mean, just let it go. Go do something with Chris. I don't know. Find something safe to do.
What have you heard of Zoran Magdani? What have you heard as a person who's not in New York City? I'm just curious. Maybe you don't follow New York City politics because you're in Georgia. I'm just curious
that really honestly it's been mixed reviews. Like he's a breath of fresh air at this point. New York is going in a different direction and stuff like that. But also you seeing that New York is going to hell, and that you see when you allow progressives and stuff like that, and this and that it's been a lot of mixed shit. I haven't followed too closely, only because because I've been like literally trying to start off politics as of late because it's been so depressing. And really honestly just seeing the fallout on everything and then seeing what the Trump administration is trying to do to hide ass about his health, hide ass about Epstein, hide ass about firing all these people, that I'm fighting Social Security when it comes to my own child, and how it's taking over a year or so to even get like medically approved for him and shit like that. I've been having a lot of other stuff going on that I haven't really zeroed in on what's going on in New York, so I'm sorry about that.
No worries. That's what I was just exactly trying to hear. What the consensus was, or what?
Yeah, but of course, conservative media is trying to paint him negatively, real bad. I would like for them to be up at Andrew Cuomo over this guy. Like, what made y'all change y'all stance on Andrew? Because y'all used to hate this motherfucking ass, and all of a sudden he was the better pick. I said, y'all need to shit to get off the pot because y'all don't know what y'all want to do.
Well, I can tell you that I'm a huge fan of Mandani. I think it's really inspiring and encouraging what's happening there. We've talked in the room about what it is about him, and I think there are a lot of things. I think, clearly he's charismatic and authentic. Clearly he is on message and knows exactly what policies he's pushing, which are economic policies. They are the basic human rights that we're looking for. They are economic. They are about food on the table. They are about being able to ride the train. They're about housing, rent control. And I think he actually has the capacity to be a healing agent in terms of the Islamophobia and anti-Semitism that's going on in this world. He's been just incredibly gracious, beyond gracious, in how he's responded to a horrible weaponization against him around Gaza. And I'm just really excited about him. I just think that he is really the future. So I know that people are so weird about words and socialism, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm still a socialist Democrat.
He hasn't won yet, so we still have to be cautiously optimistic. He hasn't won yet.
No,
I think
what the odds were, and I see what he was able to pull off. It's just
it's actually kind of dope, but I still think he's got an uphill battle.
But why are people like, so like it's very confusing to me, like the arguments or the conversation, because like people are like pro Mamdani, but then like when people talk about like the rise of Trump or Bernie, like there seems to be a lot, like people don't seem to understand like why there was an appeal and how Mamdani, Trump, and Bernie, they ran a populist campaign. And so for me, it's like I think like BPV, that's her name, BPV. I think she brought up a great point when we talk about how people campaign and how people or politicians just speak to the people to gain a certain momentum and gain certain types of voters, because that seems to be the appeal, and it seems to be gaining a lot of traction.
attention. Yes, people within the political parties do not like it. People are not going to like Mamdani, his political colleagues. But when we're talking about the people, there is an appeal, and people are just not like paying attention to how these people are building their campaigns around populism.
Well, see, that's not the thing. No one has said that. You're framing it that way. So what the critique of Bernie was, and the populist argument was completely different. So as it pertains to Mamdani, we were referring to how people there in New York have put him in a position to be elected. Now he did win the position. So he's still going to have people like Omo running this independently. What you're missing is you keep framing, quote unquote, the people.
Exactly. I'm going to create a new room. I'll talk to you in there.
That narrative. What you're missing, and I'm glad to earlier, is that you are a small constituency of people. I'm not saying you, because I don't know if you're that, but that people represent a small constituency of people. Most people are moderate. I don't know how you all miss that. It's just wishful thinking that has evolved into this delusion that everybody is somehow populist. They're not. That's a small constituency of people. So it only looks like it's ringing out or that it's gaining traction, but it's really not. You're looking at these small places, dear. I hate to be the one to burst the bubble.
Small places matter.
They do, but it's not representative of the larger group of people.
It doesn't matter if they're representative. They have the loudest voices. And this
that doesn't matter. It doesn't translate.
And this is what got Trump elected. And this, yes, it does translate to votes. 1.5 million voters is a lot of voters.
In New York. It doesn't translate
nationally. New York, we're talking about the Bernie, Trump voters.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about like the Tea Party? Like, we understand the Tea Party movement behind Trump, how that started, right?
Yeah,
so these movements, like, we understand that, but so I'm kind of confused as to your point. Because I think you like said that
appeal Trump is because they built their campaign around populism. And so what he was saying was that earlier that it should be looked into how the Bernie voters turned into Trump voters, right? And how they portray themselves as anti-establishment and for the people, right? And so, and as outsiders. And that's what Mamdani has done also. And regardless if you think it's a small population, that 1.5 million voters that changed from Bernie to Trump is a significant amount of people. And it should be looked into. It's not saying that other voters don't matter, okay? It's the fact that these people, the Bernie bros, the Trump voters, they were very loud and very clear about what they wanted.
And majority of it was they wanted to punish the Democratic Party. We hear from Bernie bros all the time. And a lot of it is that you can't really get that back, right? How do you get someone, and that's what I'm saying about Jill Stein, you go to a page, it's all critical of Democrats, right? People hate Democrats. You know, they want to punish Democrats for the Bernie thing, like they just want to continue to punish Democrats. There's nothing that you could really do about that. You have to like move on. We have to move on from certain people.
No, it's not moving on from certain people. It's understanding why there's an appeal for certain politics.
No, I get that. We get that. You get that. I'm not disagreeing. But you think this is a
people are the incumbent party. People blame the party in office for their problems, right? That happens time and time again. Like, we get that in times of economic, high inflation and stuff like that. Yes, I think a lot of us understand that.
Yeah, you're looking at this as we're as a pushback to what you're saying. It's more of an explanation, agent, not a pushback. What we're saying is and I'm not saying you, but Bernie, or I don't know how to frame this. People that vote that way tend to think that everyone thinks that way. People who vote populist tend to think that everyone, because they're louder, that this represents a significant constituency of people. I'm not talking about significance in terms of what they are proposing. I'm talking about significance in terms of numbers. That is all I'm talking about. But the tenor or how loud it may be tends to fool people into thinking that that constituency of people represents a larger group of people than it does. It doesn't represent a large group of people. It just represents a loud group of
But
people.
how does it not get Trump won?
Well, this is the reason, because those people normally, to just a point, would normally be in line with moderate Democrats. So because there's been an appeal off, I guess, if you want to frame it that way, for people who we would consider at this point Bernie bros, or people who are framed socialist or populist who vote, which is where the intersection lies between some of the Trump people and the Bernie people. That is where so those people would become more closely aligned with moderates. So what happens is some of those people have peeled off from voting because of the reasons Justin was saying just said, is that they're throwing a fucking temper tantrum because you don't get exactly what it is that you're talking about. And if you're representing a constituency of people, you understand that there will be things that you get, there will be things that you don't get, which is fine. But you are still more closely aligned with the moderate Democrats or establishment, as people love to frame, right?
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about alignment. I'm talking about winning, and I'm talking about the
That's
messaging.
exactly what I'm talking about.
The messaging
not a
that has
winning
been
message.
Excuse me? I'm sorry. What did you say?
It's not a winning message. At least let me.
It is a winning message because Trump won.
It's not a winning message.
Trump won based on draining the swamp, anti-establishment. Okay, this is how Trump won.
How? That's not how Trump won.
That is how Trump won.
No, Trump won because people love to vote that way. Right.
Trump won two separate times pushing that message. He pushed a populist campaign. It may not have been specifically aligning itself with Bernie, but that's the message that Trump won. I'm not saying that the outcome was what he was promoting.
So what
I'm not talking about the outcome. I'm talking about the message that led to him being elected.
Right. So that's not what I'm. Okay. So maybe we're saying two different things here. His populist message resonates with the people that vote for him. So what you are, and let me just so that I'm actually understanding your argument. What you're saying is that establishment Democrats should adopt a populist and run a populist as well, so that people like yourself will then jump on said message.
No, I'm not talking about people like me, because I already know what I'm voting for. I voted for Bernie. I voted for Biden specifically because of his policies. I understand his policies, and that's why. But there are people who aren't like us. This is what I'm trying to say. There are people who aren't like us, and who will not value policy the way we do, right? Who are not going to go to the WhiteHouse.gov and sit there and actually read the messaging, right? So the populist campaign appeals to certain Democrats.
We should try to make some of those people fall. Is that what you're saying? That's not a winning. That's not a winning. That's not.
And so you think Kamala Harris should have gone to Joe Rogan? Based on what you're saying? Yeah.
No, you see, that's why we're right back to what I said. You don't understand Democratic voters. That's the problem. You don't understand.
I don't understand what we're losing. So the Democrat voters,
Democrats have won the last 5 elections.
And get to vote either. We're losing. We lost the election.
They won 3 out of 5.
Wait. I'm gonna say, hold on, y'all. I want y'all to jump down on her, but actually, with that point, I do agree with her. I do agree that Kamala should have went to the Joe Rogan show, only because how the media market is now when it comes to podcasting and different things like that. But again, we feel like if she would have had more time to be able to run her campaign properly and not been thrown into a fray 3 months before, it probably would have been a completely different thing. But I do believe that she should have went to the Joe Rogan show. I believe she should have taken afraid because there are a lot of people who don't listen to the traditional media, who don't go to CNN, they don't go to Fox News, they don't go to different things like that. They listen to these podcasters. That's people podcast all day. Hell, we're on Clubhouse all day and we listen to each other.
I mean,
And
do
we
you know
don't go up
anything
in
about?
a politician who came on
Do
here.
you know anything about the Joe Rogan show?
I
never listened to it.
I've listened to one and turned that shit the fuck off. But that
Okay, exactly. So the whole thing, I'm just telling you, is about the manosphere culture. And so it just wouldn't have made sense, I think, for her to go on there. Because they're that whole manosphere culture, I don't know, Google it. Maybe look at a couple videos and you'll see.
No, I know about
The populist culture. The populist culture right now is entering the manosphere. It is anti-intellectualism. Like, that's the populist culture. So I'm like, I don't know how much sense that really would have made for her, to go on something like that.
I believe she should have went, because I believe people personally don't think she knew how to carry herself, or that she would have been able to combat some of the things she said. Even if it would have been a mad mashup and all the things she would have said, but for her to be able to go to that arena, stand in where her platform is, and be able to speak, even if that is not her constituency, those are still voters, regardless of the fact. And people have news said against her. You got to go on different platforms. I've always said, when as much as I don't like Fox News, as much as I don't like certain broadcasts and things like that, I feel like all politicians should be able to go there, because even if they fire off lies and stuff at you, you are combating the narrative that they're creating for you on their platform. And they're giving those people who are listening, who may be middle of the road, you're giving them a chance to listen to you and for them to do their own interpretation. Because when you avoid those medias, you'll do nothing but, oh yeah, she won't do this and she won't do that, which was one of the points that a lot of people made.
So let's
hold on 1 second.
Go ahead, sir.
Because Fox News is Fox News. That's completely different from the manosphere. I'm talking about Joe Rogan, the manosphere. The whole stick with the manosphere is, and if you've gone down the Chad wife aesthetic, all of that is manosphere, is anti-intellectualism. Women should be breeders, basically, and encouraging women to be stay-at-home wives, not go to college, like all of that. So I'm like, how does that make sense for Kamala to expose herself to?
But that's not necessarily true. Joe Rogan has had both parties, people from both sides on his podcast. I don't necessarily like his podcast either, but unfortunately, these are the people who drive the trends, and these are the people that we're talking about.
Correct.
And like my thing is that like, she is well trained, she is extremely intelligent, and Kamala could have easily handled Joe Rogan to the point where even though she did not go on his show, he still had very nice things to say about her. But I think in the future, when we talk about like future Democrats running,
He calls her a cop. He always says some shit about her being in it.
I don't know if you guys are listening.
He does. I don't know what you're listening to. I don't know why people give shit about her. I listen to Joe Rogan. I don't know why people saying that she didn't answer difficult questions, as if Trump Trump don't get flip balls for questions on every interview he goes on. But the thing is that he does go to certain places where he know is gonna have an issue. Even when he fuck up, his people love him and say, he went on that show and stuff like that. Even if he would have threw any questions at her, which I believe the whole reason that she didn't go is that she wanted Joe Rogan to come to her and he wanted her to go to him, and that was a mix-up. That's why she couldn't do the show. It's because she didn't have time to go. But she was trying to give him the opportunity to interview her, but he would have had to come to her, which he was not willing to do. So I wanted to go ahead and clear up that narrative. I just feel like she had more time. She would have been able to do the full circuit that she wanted to do. But to disregard just because of whatever they land, I mean, it just is what it is. These certain podcasts, the different things like that, these are what people are getting their information on. I necessarily don't like Joe Budden, but Joe Budden got a whole bunch of motherfucking listeners and subscribers who go to listen to shit on the work, going home, hanging out, or or whatever. It is what it is. It's certain things, just like The View. I don't watch The View, but a whole bunch of people make sure they go to The View because that's where audience is.
Did Joe Biden go on any of these podcasts when he ran?
He's a white man.
I'm just asking, just generally, did he miss any of these podcasts during his time?
No, but he's a white male.
But you're proving my point, Patty. What I'm saying is that wasn't. So we keep citing these, and we keep citing these reasons as why Kamala Harris fell short of the goal, and they're not it. That's not what happened.
But they were running during COVID, though.
But regardless of the fact she can still go on podcasts, what I'm saying is that wasn't driving the narrative. We're searching for reasons that happened, and that's not what happened.
No, but that's
Kamala Harris was able to turn out her voters because there was a better message from the other side that turned out people, that turned off some voters. Is what we're not talking about.
No, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the populist campaign.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. And if I were to finish, you may understand that.
Hold on. We're gonna try to calm down.
You keep doing the same thing, and you keep protesting. Okay, calm down.
Go ahead. I'm not excited, dear. I'm annoyed, but go ahead.
I can tell.
Go right ahead. I insist. You're ladies first.
Not violence on the stage.
Don't do that, TC.
Yeah, that's
now, TC, we're not gonna play that game today.
I was just saying that when you have brought up her going on Joe Rogan podcast, that still isn't like necessarily where I'm headed with it, or where I'm trying to have the conversation go. Like, my thing is, she lost. We need to get over that loss and move forward, and we need to learn from our mistakes, right? But I think oftentimes Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Good.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that the Democratic Party keeps missing the message, keeps missing the vote. Keeps missing the message, and that's why we keep losing votes. And I think that Mamdani, if we look at Mamdani and what he is campaigning and running on in the campaign that he's trying to build, I think we need to look into that. We need to also look into the Democrats who are not supporting other Democrats because they're not really into the messaging, and they're not really into getting the message out to different types of people. Because at the end of the day, there is an issue within the Democratic Party, and there's an issue with messaging. And oftentimes the Democratic Party comes across as very elitist, because they're like, how come you're stupid? How come you don't understand politics? How come you don't understand this? And it's like, okay, fine, they don't understand. So how are we going to get these people to understand so they can vote blue?
So how they understand it. Hold on, TC, because she was referring to me, so then I'll let you up to me. What I was saying had nothing to do with what you were talking about. You're comparing Mamdani, who is a New York politician on a national platform. So those politics may work in New York. I will concede that. It's a national politic. So maybe you and I are talking about two different things, but we can get clear. So I'm not saying that what he's doing doesn't work in New York. It just may. Now, he hasn't won yet.
And it may not.
Let's be clear. And it may not.
The shit he's talking about, the damn fare-free public transit and the damn public-owned grocery stores, that shit's going to cost the taxpayers money. And
that's exactly it.
And that rent stabilization. Like, that shit is, like, ridiculous. He's talking socialism. But that's just too much.
But I didn't bring up on
this. This is what's funny, though. You guys are talking the same thing.
Patty was still talking, ladies.
Oh, I thought she went on mute.
Whoa, Gwen, come on, man.
No, I'm just saying she was talking. She was just saying the same thing to me, TC. That was just being facetious.
Well, here's the thing. I was finding that Patty hears socialism, and hold on. Gwen was going to let me go after he was done. So I think it's funny that Patty hears socialism, but she hears free fares and things like that. What do you think the rest of Americans hear when they hear Medicaid for illegal immigrants? Like, this is the stuff that I think you guys are starting to hear.
We're not about to change the conversation right now. We don't need to change that right now. No, it's not. No, it's not. You're not about to be real. You show us the legality of using federal government dollars for freaking illegal immigrants.
Oh, it happens.
No, so Medi-Cal is what? State? Is the
No. I'm not suggesting this is federal policy.
Exaggerating it.
I'm not exaggerating it. But here's the thing. But here's the thing, Patty. When a Mandami follower hears what you say, they'll tell you the same thing. You're stretching it. That's not really what's happening. Listen, the Democratic Party operates on the federal level and on the state level and on the local level as well. You can't divorce the messaging. Just because California has policy for immigrants and that policy is not shared by.
Because I understand what's going on in that.
Yeah, but Patty, can I finish my
submission? Can me, Quinn, and Agent finish our conversation when we was talking about the messaging first before y'all get there?
I'm talking about messaging. That's what I'm talking about. And what
I'm
saying is Mandami has captured a part of the Democratic left that you guys have always had that is not happy with the current Democratic establishment. What you're not realizing is you guys are the Mandamis. You think you're doing some sort of, you're holding up some standard for Democrats that's against socialism and communism. No, you're not. You are the socialists, the communists, and Americans. But no, hold on. We're not moving on because that's what he is. He's running as a democratic socialist. What do you mean move on from it?
But that's not
what he is. That's a large.
New York doesn't vote the same way that you may vote and wherever the fuck you are.
No, that's the point.
Oh my God.
Democrats vote that way.
Oh my God.
The Democrats
I'm gonna go back to because we was talking about the Joe Rogan situation. Go ahead and go back to the Joe Rogan because we're derailing the conversation.
I was talking about the populist message, and it doesn't specifically belong to Mamdani. I brought up 3 examples. I brought up Trump, Bernie, and Mamdani. And what I'm saying is that message is resonating with certain voters. And that is what we really need to look into. It has nothing to do. This is why Trump won. And at this point, the Democrats really need to focus on winning, focus on their messaging, and focus to reaching out to certain populations that they normally would not reach out to. That was my entire.
So let's address that. First of all, let's be clear because I'm tired of hearing this. The Democrats have won 3 out of the last 5 national elections. So this narrative that they keep losing is stupid. I'm just going to call it what it is. Let's remember that when we keep saying that, because that's annoying to hear. And what it suggests is exactly what I was talking about earlier, is that all of you don't have a grasp of the national politic. To say something like that is simple-minded and silly. I'm sorry. They've won 3 of the last 5 elections, so they're not keep losing anything. That's number 1. Number 2 is that you keep referring to that intersection where Bernie, Trump intersect in terms of the populist vote. Again, I continue to say this, and I'll say this differently this time. That vote is not going to resonate with a lot of Democrats. It's not. Most Democrats are moderate. They are not populist. And there is no indication other than someone being loud that message is resonating with a larger group of people. It's just not. It is working in New York. There's evidence to that. I will concede that. It is not working as a national politic. There is absolutely no indication of that. The last president that was elected as a establishment Democrat, moderate Democrat. So I don't understand this narrative or this notion that somehow this is growing. I don't see any evidence of that.
You don't think
keep saying that. There is the evidence. This is just there is no evidence to suggest that.
They're winning in majority Democratic cities and states.
No, it's not the same though. This is the thing, right? So this is what y'all have to take into consideration. New York City does ranked choice voting, right? So you have some people that are going to put him as number 1, others put him as number 2, because there was a lot of people that was supporting what's his name?
Andrew Cuomo.
No, the older generation was on Andrew Cuomo. What's the commissioner's name? Sam. You know what I'm talking about? Fuck. Well, there was another guy, right? So you got there you go. So you got people putting him as number 1, the other one is number 2. He got most of those young votes, right? He got a lot of the young votes. And if he was number 2 or this person was number 1, ranked choice voting is totally different than just getting the populace vote, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you, if it was just voting like you would do in Georgia, it might have been Cuomo that would have won. Period.
Exactly.
That's not what I'm talking about either.
Ranked choice voting
That's
though,
not a
Patty.
sign. This is not a sign. This is not a sign that people are changing. Ranked choice voting is totally different than just voting for who gets.
But this is what the Democrats wanted. The Democrats wanted ranked choice voting. You're suggesting that ranked choice voting disenfranchised the voting.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying how he won. God damn, come on.
But which one is it, Patty? Wait. Which one is it, Patty? Did the voters want Mondami or did they not want Mondami? Because you said it was a popular vote. Cuomo would have won.
They did. Either they put him as number 1 or number 2. Got it. They wanted him. Whether it was their second choice or not. It's like a lot of older people wanted. If you look at who probably would have voted, who would have probably got the most votes, we know and everybody knows it would have probably been Cuomo.
Yeah,
because he has a big group. He has a group of people that are going to be loyal to Cuomo because of his legacy.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily what I'm speaking about either. Like, I understand New York is a very different situation when we're talking about voting, but I'm talking again, okay? And Quinn, you're just not getting it, and that's okay. But my thing is that you're just letting your point because I'm not getting what you're saying either. But it seems like other people.
No, I get it loud and clear. The populist message is popular with Democrats.
Yeah, I think people are attaching a populist message to a party. It does not necessarily have to be attached to a party and their ideas. It's just the fact that the campaign is running around a populist message. And what I'm saying is that to sit there and deny that 1.5 million voters switching from Bernie to Trump is not significant is the problem with the Democratic Party. The Democratic
Part of the problem.
Yes, someone get it.
It's not the entire problem. It's a part of the problem. You're dealing with a messaging issue. 100%.
I got it. Thank you. So my thing is that there is a messaging issue. I think that things need to be. I think people need to pay more attention to who is voting, to how people, to who is trying to understand politics, who is trying to get involved in politics, and who needs to hear the Democratic message and how, or the Democratic messages and policies, and who actually needs to vote Democratic, within the next cycle, etc. And that's what the Democrats are missing. They do not want to sit there and talk to or actually get involved with a populist message. They still want to run on this, elitist campaign, and that is the issue.
What does an elitist campaign consist of? Can you tell us what the difference?
What you just did. What you just did.
I didn't say anything.
What you just did is pretty elitist, right? It's pretty elitist. The way you speak about politics is not going to be
What did I say?
Hold on.
It's not about the way I speak.
The way you speak is a problem to some people. To me, I don't really care.
That's absolutely
But
fine.
to me, I don't really care. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, the way you talk about the Democratic Party, and you want to sit there and isolate people and say most people are this and most people are that, and you want to throw around labels and you want to do that, that message, that the way you're speaking and the message that most people are moderate. That's what he said. Most people, but that's true though. That most people are moderate. Most people are on the moderate scale. People, yes, to you it may not be. This is what the issue is. To you it may not be. To you, to me it's not. But to other people it is.
Okay, first of all, calm your horses.
I'm from New York. This is how we talk. I'm chilling right now. But what I'm saying
is funny. Hold on, Angie. You've been talking a lot. Let some other people speak for a second. What's funny is
Actually, Angie, what?
Hold on.
There's a lot between those three.
We've been having a conversation for 30 minutes. We'd like for other people to speak, right? Like other people.
They need to finish what they will finish.
Hold on. So Lisa had this same conversation. Dude, what the hell, dude?
Mute up.
right now. Okay.
Like, let them finish. Like, it don't take much just to let them finish.
Wait, Jay, you finished like 4 times already.
Okay, let's keep going in. I mean, ain't nobody complaining about the conversation till you got here.
No, nobody complaining. There's other people that want to
speak. A minute.
evidence of that. So I'm trying to establish how what I say, and so to be clear, I'm trying to do what it's just because universe knows me from past experience in this country.
Basically, the reason why the leftists and MAGA are getting so much attention is because they are louder. They are on the fringe, but majority are moderate. That's what he said, and it's been about a populist message, which has been anti-establishment, anti-government, and I think that's where they have been butting heads at, is because they're having two different conversations and they're combating.
Well, what I'm telling you, the cause is that you have to believe that Democrats are moderate. That's what we see. Democrats are not moderate. The majority of the Democratic candidates are not moderate. That's not true at all. That is very true. So if you want to refute it, then refute it. But don't say that what he's saying is right, because what he's saying is absolutely wrong. Democrats are not moderate. The majority of Democratic voters advocate for non-moderate positions, policy positions, when it comes to federal policy. Okay, then disprove it. Then don't just say it's not true. And you want to scream at the woman, but you can't scream at me. Like, I didn't give me some facts. I just gave you Beto O'Rourke in Texas. Beto O'Rourke in Texas is running a nationwide campaign.
Alright, so I don't know what's happening, but we've been having a relaxed conversation one at a time. TC, you're asking him to clarify something, but I guess he could do the same thing. What makes you say, since he already said it, what makes you say that Democrats are not moderate?
So I gave a prime example. Okay, I mentioned Miami and New York, Beto O'Rourke in Texas. You have candidates with national profiles. AOC and Bernie Sanders are running a very populist but very disjointed from moderate message across the country that's picking up steam and getting thousands and thousands of people out there to their rallies. Who do you think these people are? They're not
extremes and different shit. And Gwen, I am literally just paraphrasing from what I understand what you're saying. Sorry, my baby's having a good time today. So I just think that when we have passionate people, when we have political questions, if we don't get to just a little small crack in the conversation, the end of the call is in a whole fucking can of chaos. And I just don't want that conversation to continue because I definitely like both of the points. It's been a great conversation. I just don't want to give excuses like, oh, he's hacking over her because she's a woman or she's greedy, all that shit like that. I don't want to get there. So all of us have gone through certain type of thing. Have I been correct in my summary? Okay, cool. That's all I want. DC, you do what the fuck you want to. I can bring her back up. I just think I'm going to continue with that. So both of them made their points. I just think it just went haywire. We don't need to show
So that was my initial point. I would like to establish how that is elitist in some way, how that positions itself as an elitist in the way that we talk to people. That's a completely different conversation. I think it's relevant, but I also think that when we're making these assertions, we also have to understand that for as much as you might believe that people who vote populist in the way that you're suggesting are a growing constituency of people, there's also the establishment group of people who can be turned off as well, and who gets us to the same place, even if you think that, even though you think that this group of people is growing, they are not as big as the people who vote quote unquote establishment or moderately. So I mean, I'm all over the place with that, but I'm just establishing how, how those people should speak to other people is really honestly, and whether or not they actually understand what they're saying. I think that message has been very clear. I think that we do have to put the onus on people to understand what that messaging is. This is not the Republican Party, where you can have that populist message and it just resonates for another reason than the one that you're suggesting. It's not for policy, it's more for, it's a completely different thing, but that's a whole different discussion too. But I don't agree that there is, I do agree rather that there's a division between people who consider themselves populist on one side or slightly populist on one side of those who consider themselves establishment. And what happens when those two factions people disagree on policy?
Well, I think you're like, okay, so I think there's a problem with understanding what populism is. A populist message can be moderate. It can belong to any, it can be moderate, it can be, to the right, to the left, whatever, and I think that this is the problem when you keep talking about what you perceive to be the majority, right? And you are inconsiderate of the minority or the fringe groups or the people who are still in question about who they're voting for. It's the problem when you speak down to people, right, with your messaging. And let me tell you something, everyone is not going to be in party. They don't want to do that. They want to maintain this level of elitism, right, which is off-putting, and is not going to is not going to bring in the votes that is necessary for the win. And this is why populist messaging has increased in popularity. This is why people change from Bernie, who we'll say is politically the furthest to the left than most politicians, right? That's why people switch from Bernie to Trump. Okay, that's 1.5 million voters. Is because of the populist message. It's not because they're Democrat or Republican. It's because the message was anti-establishment and that they were the outsiders of the political community. And this is what I'm referencing. So, like, I think we're having two totally different conversations. And just like you said you were frustrated, I'm frustrated because you keep missing my message, but I'm not attacking you because of that. So that therein lies the difference in how you approach people and how you want to deliver your message for people.
of saying that there's a time issue.
Stop, because I thought we could get to some understanding. I hear where you guys are coming from, but I think the fact is that both want to be right in the situation, and I just think that we're not gonna. It's no. I'm just saying because you guys are saying that there's an issue with messaging, but when certain keywords and phrases get thrown out, it muddies the water. And because all of us are passionate, I know it can come off as aggressive, it can come off as condescending. It's basically the elitism word is getting thrown around with the stupid word, the dumb word, and I know that it wasn't meant what it meant, but because now it's basically on who's team AGP and who's team Quinn at this point, we might as well.
As far as I'm concerned, she and I are on the same team. That's my opinion.
That's the problem with two people talking about this. I want to make sure that they're done before I speak. First thing I was there.
I stand mad. I am mad to bring you guys like really seriously. Let's chill. We're gonna move forward with that, but I would like to come back to that at a different time. And the only reason why I would say that is because right now I don't think it would behoove anyone at this point. Because I agree with Jay. You may not think that you're trying to win the argument, but other people are listening to this conversation, and that's exactly what it sounds like. So I'm keep on that.
I think it's okay for sure. Yes.
I know it's on you.
So I think what people don't realize is that the conversation we just heard is exactly what's wrong with the Democratic Party. I mean, it sums it up perfectly. They don't understand that both of them are trying to one-up each other. They both have an elitist tone to what they're saying. One is trying to say basically that, oh, they're smart enough to understand, but we just need to patronize them and talk in a patronizing tone so that they don't feel like they're being talked down to. And another person is saying, no, they're smart enough to know these concepts. They're just too stupid to vote that way. And we need to be smarter about messaging to these people and training them how to think. And both of you guys are wrong. And this is what makes it so funny to me, because I gave this exact example when I was in Lisa's room a year ago to this month as to why myself and others are leaving the Democratic voting bloc. It's because of this very issue. Your problem is not that you don't have a grasp on reality. I think you guys have a decent grasp on reality. There's something wrong with the Democratic Party. It's just that your prognosis is off. You think the problem with the Democratic Party is the other Democrats in your party. You're partly right. But one person is saying, I'm representing the establishment wing of the party, and we need to sit you down, you loud populists. And then the populists are saying, I'm a part of the younger wing of the party. We need to sit you old establishment people down that ain't done nothing for this country. And the problem is the fact that there's a yin and yang to this Democratic issue is why you keep losing elections. When I'm sorry it might come as a surprise to you, but you lost all the swing states. You lost the House. You lost the Senate. You lost the White House. Because of a previous election, you lost the Supreme Court. So when people say you keep losing, they're not lying to you. They're not trying to blow smoke up your ass. You literally keep losing when it counts. Just because you won 3 presidential elections out of the last 5 presidential elections, it doesn't give you a brownie point to say you're not a loser. You've lost on policy. You've lost on representation in the states. You've lost when it comes to representation in Congress. And now you think you're going to win by sitting down the most active and highest fundraising wing of your party. I'll give you a prime example when I'm land here. David Hobb was sat down by the establishment Democratic Party because they didn't like his message of going after establishment candidates in very deep blue states that will not lose to a Republican.
So I think, again, from what I heard, that people that are like, damn, tired of just the lesser of two evils. Even the lesser of three evils will be better than that. But to just have this, and that's it. That's why I think helps explain and understand this thing. And it's easy to go socialist, or, he's going to just go and bomb all of Israel. It's easy to do that. But the reality is, this person is British. The reality is, there's an idea like, oh, there's another avenue other than, what was the boy's name? That he ran against. Everybody was so surprised. Excuse me, I know y'all know what I'm talking about, but it was. That's all I'm talking about right now. And how that relates possibly is this idea of a model, if you will, for the rest of the Democratic Party. Not the exact things are going to play out in every city, every state across America. That's what I learned from a guy in New York, especially a place like LA. But nonetheless, the idea that somebody will be bold enough to kind of speak to, or definitely speak to, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues that the masses of the people really do concern themselves with, however it plays out in Nebraska or Oregon or Wisconsin or wherever the hell it plays out. I think that is really, to me, what scares the hell out of the established Republican Party and the established Democrat right there. I think what we should really be focusing in on, because especially as the Republican Party or the MAGA Party or Trump is going through some real changes in this last 100 days or so, or whatever this is. I don't know what that may look like by the time, the Democratic Party, this pendulum shifting, whatever. But I just think that it's right. So and also, let's not forget about Elon jumping in, a whole other party. And so what I'm saying is, I think what is very easy to prove is that the American people realize change is what we want. I'll jump to it. That makes sense to me that you.
No, it makes sense, brother. I'm not trying to suggest just how we are specifically in the conversation. That's all I'm saying.
I was agreeing with something totally different. That's what I'm saying. I recognize that you may not understand. Because it's definitely not on an either or. I told you I was right. So,
Yeah. I will say, I've been very critical of GSA, right? Those are the people behind Zoran and helped him win. A lot of those people actually come from the Obama campaign. Actually spoke to them. And what I think, is what I'm getting from, what anyone's trying to say is, we need to have a message that's simple for people to understand. I think that's one of the reasons why Zoran or Madami is so popular right now, because he's running on affordability for New Yorkers, right? And that's pretty much, make bus fare free, those 3 things that he's harping on. Then maybe it's not necessarily going to be able to get done, but these are things that people are really interested in, because life has become very unaffordable for a lot of New Yorkers, for people that live in New York City. So can people model that, or is DSA, now that they gained so much popularity? By the way, they have chapters in every state, most cities. I'm sure they've gained a lot of ground because of this. Is DSA the future? Who knows, right? But they have a good ground game. They mobilized tens of thousands of people in New York City. They had people canvassing the city for 8 months. It was crazy, right? So this is an unprecedented number of people voted in this primary election. This is an unprecedented amount of
be assumed, right? And for some reason, people are running and they assume that the old behavior that they're used to seeing still exists. And the fact of the matter is, that's not the case. Certainly, Mr. Cuomo has way more resources, right, at his fingertips. He has a better organization. Like, he has a machine behind him. And I think in their arrogance, they negated to talk to the people as Sim was saying, right? They thought that they had it in the bag. And I think that's indicative of the Democratic Party itself, right? I think the Democratic Party in North America has aligned itself with messaging and, certain things that are divisive, and it's standing on this shit. Obviously, on the national level, on the local level, it's an outdated message, right? And so they seem to be afraid to stand up. They seem to be afraid to not agree with the people, and so on and so forth. And for some reason, they keep reverting back to a playbook that is no longer effective. And that's what we saw with the last election. It's just like, people, you're talking about issues that people really do agree upon. There's certain issues that across the aisle, Americans agree on. And instead of realizing that and not ruffling the feathers, you guys are holding yourselves down. Democrats are holding themselves down on issues that really, really turn people off. And they're going to vote for anything that's opposing to certain platforms that people want to stand on. I'll leave it at that. And so I agree with Sin. I think here in New York City, this guy, I don't know him too well, but I can tell you this. What New York needs, New York definitely needs a more competent person, no matter who's in that seat, because Bloomberg using that seat, right, you've really got to have your chops to really lead New York City. And I don't think
a lot of people want to go, Robert.
Yeah.
Just keep it down to 2 minutes.
All right, so then I land, because I was less than 2 minutes, but I land.
I agree, Sin, because I know what's AOC has been running on democratic socialism. But again, my issue with democratic socialism is the messaging. People hear socialism, they make a lot of assumptions. When I had brought up democratic socialism to people within conversation, people make a lot of assumptions because they hear socialism and then they want to equate it to communism and go down this pipeline. And this is what I'm talking about when it pertains to messaging. Sometimes things need to be rephrased, or there needs to be another term used to describe maybe an agenda or a party. For instance, when people were talking about defunding the police, people actually thought people were just going to remove funding for the police. It was going to be the abolishment of the police departments, et cetera, right? Instead of reallocating funds to different programs that would lighten the load off of police and actually directly take care of certain matters that police officers were not trained or educated onto managing, right? So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to messaging. A lot of people don't know what democratic socialism is, and a lot of people will take that and run with it into this communism, Russian bloc or USSR bloc, pipeline, and it's just it doesn't make sense to me because I understand what it is. But when you think about it, their rationale does kind of make sense, and this is what I'm talking about when Democrats. The problem with their messaging.
So can we define socialism, a modern socialism?
Oh, just real quick. I'll just go off a messaging before your question get asked. I agree with that. That's why I wanted to expound on the conversation between you and Quinn, because just like I say, the Republican Party has done a great thing at things that stick. Just like people who get questioned about the Affordable Health Care Act and Obamacare. They think there are two different plans. When it comes to woke, for what woke actually really means, if you ask people who have demonized what woke is, or DEI, or different words like that, it's been able to be distorted. It's been muddied. It's basically been bastardized into something that's evil that they can run with but don't have a full understanding. So that's why I've really been in agreement with you that it has been a huge messaging issue with Democrats. Now, I think people get a little touchy with the elitism word, only because we know both parties have elitists all up and through it. I mean, Trump is an elitist if you think about it. He just have a way of being just as dumb when he's speaking. Some people actually just pick up on it because it's quote unquote, we're not gonna say dumb, we're gonna say layman terms. He know how to do layman terms. So where do we go from here to be able to simplify the message but still have people do research, to still have people watch Schoolhouse Rock, something simple, something to learn how actual bills are passed, how the government function, how it works, and what are actually in these bills instead of just these simple, play on words, but they end up signing their own death warrants. What can be a solution to that? I feel like it's a big thing because we could throw around to say that the Republicans simplify messages. Yes, they win elections, but it's to the detriment to our country. The debt and the deficit tells that story. But also there's an issue with Democrats as well. So what are we going to do? What is the solution at this point? Can somebody give any?
So from what I'm hearing, based on the conversation, there are two things.
Hold on,
this conversation.
I'm speaking. Yeah, you sound muffled. You sound muffled. Hold on, Robert. Just mute yourself. 212, do you want to go? Okay, go.
I was going to jump in if he's not ready anymore. On answering that question, where do I guess whoever we is, where does the Democratic Party, Republican Party, where does America go from here? Again, I think one lesson I learned from Donald Trump was that even running on this Epstein thing, I think it's very apropos to this conversation. Spoke to something that the people wanted. MAGA, other people were like, yeah, we want that. And obviously, it was a kind of a thing. I can make an analogy to housing in New York or whatever, affordable living in your city, your state. And yeah, okay, cool. There's some actual game plans, whether they're radical or not. There's like some very clear. One thing the Democratic Party didn't have compared to the Republican Party was they didn't have a Project 2025. They didn't have a project anything. There was no. This is what we're passionate about, putting out in front of the people. And the people like that in general. So I think where we go from here is people learn
So
that.
wait, Trump supporters liked Project 2025? Because a lot of them didn't even read it.
They didn't even know it existed.
I think you guys are missing his point. Like, if you say that they had a true north, they had an agenda.
1 second.
When they got
Can you finish? Were you finished?
No. I mean, I appreciate it. Yeah, TC's hitting the nail on the head, though, but I would like to finish off the thought. But it's right in that vein that an agenda beats no agenda every day of the week. I mean, some of the inferior talent, NFL, NBA, wherever, Little League, wins because they have a very clear agenda and they stick to it. Now, I'm not here to argue that everybody in the Republican Party knew what it was. Even Donald Trump tried to deny that he even knew what the hell it was. However, those that knew and that were in the trenches, which is a lot of millions of people, I'm sure, across the voting populace, understood clearly, oh yeah. And, to the point now, I'm like, oh yeah, he said he's going to do these different things. Those that knew, they definitely knew, oh man, shoot, he's coming in swinging. Like, this is what they're going to do. And so they're not surprised at all. So that was my point about it.
Hold on. Let me ask the question. Are you saying that those people who voted based on Project 2025 voted because for the detriment of the country? Because that's what Project 2025 was.
No, that's not what I'm saying. No. Let me
a lot of people didn't even deny it. A lot of people denied it, and they acted like it didn't exist.
No, let me clarify. Okay, let me clarify my point. I don't want you to get lost in some of these details. The point is, comparatively speaking, I don't think anybody in their right mind will argue that the Democratic Party across the board was putting forward some type of an agenda across the board. Like there was an idea up in there, this is where they're going to take the country in the next 4 years. Versus the idea in the Republican Party, by the 2025 and other avenues of thought in that whole party was like, oh yeah, we know what we can expect from Donald Trump. And also, they had an idea of what we can expect from the Democratic Party, Kamala, and they were definitely two different vibes. And this is my point. There was a vibe about immigration. There was a vibe about making America great. Even Make America Great Again itself is what is my point. It's like, there's an idea like, we're going to have an agenda to put America first. Now, how that plays out is almost irrelevant. The idea that got him in was, shit, America first, goddammit, with citizenship over everything else. Like, if you're here, been here, and you're a good person, stick around. If you ain't on some BS, get the hell out of here. People are like, I'm voting for that dude. There's a clarity of, yes, I like that. That's what I'm trying to.
Oh, and that's why people earlier said that people voted on vibes. That people vote on vibes.
Yeah, they voted on vibes.
That's not accurate.
Clear policy. There wasn't no.
There was clear policy. There was no tax on tips that people could understand.
And there's still tax on tips. And there's still tax on tips.
I'm not trying to fight. I'm not trying to fight with you guys. Let's just talk about what Sweet is talking about. Let's just talk about what Sweet is talking about.
PowerPoint presentation. They didn't even have the data, right? And if you looked at Kamala, she had the data. She even used some. A lot of her talking points actually came from what Biden was going to present. So they had the numbers. They had the money. They showed what it would look like. He did not do that. I can put up a PowerPoint presentation, and you guys go ahead and vote on that shit and see how it gets.
So let me say something. Immigration. Taking a strong position on immigration, consistent with Project 2025, be that as it may, the way it was sold to the American people and the American populace, the voters, was that Donald Trump's going to crack down on fentanyl and illegals coming across the southern border. That's messaging. That's messaging consistent with the North Star. And that's what Sweet is talking about. He's suggesting, fine, whatever their messaging, I don't know nothing about Project 2025. What's Project 2025? Never heard of it. That's messaging. That's called marketing. That's called like PR. I don't know what other ways I need to explain it to you guys. What he's saying is, hold on. Let me clarify, because what he was saying, you guys didn't understand. It was making perfect sense to me. So maybe the problem is that what's being said is not making sense to you. So just give me a second. So I can. Let me simplify it so it resonates. What I'm saying is this: who is the titular speaking head for the Democratic Party right now?
We don't know, right?
Okay, so great. Hold on. Question number two. What is the titular message that the Democratic Party is driving right now to galvanize the vote in 2026?
Right, they're off message. So we've established
exactly. So hold on. This is for you. You get it, brother. Hold on. Let me break it down for Brooklyn. Robert. Let me just give me a second, bro. Because what Sweet said is exactly right, and I don't agree with Sweet often, so I'm gonna take it.
He wasn't talking about that. He was talking about this.
But it's the same problem now, Brooklyn.
No, it's not.
Okay, all right. Hold on, Robert. Hold on 1 second. Let me finish. I know, bro, but listen, not the mods defending me. Let me finish my point.
Just let him finish his point. You got.
Thank you.
You got 1 minute, T.
Is somebody peeing off mute? That is so disgusting. If that's the case.
I'm washing dishes. I'm in the kitchen. That's me in the kitchen. I'm preparing brunch. There ain't nobody with disrespect like that. But I'm just trying to get.
Robert, I'm gonna get it to you right now, bro.
Let him go. Let's get this minute over.
Come on, Daddy. I think there's at least a list.
I didn't mean it that way. I apologize.
All right, I appreciate it. All right, so let me say this, right? I have nothing wrong with there being a strong message from the Democratic Party. At least it gives us something to debate. But if we're going to be 100% honest, you guys don't have a message. You have grievances, you have internal strife, you have like quibbling about various different degrees of methods of authority and who has the authority on this issue. All I'm saying is I would prefer to have a simple message across the board that people can believe in. Barack Obama, and I'm going to land with this, Betty. Barack Obama had a very simple message. Hope and change when he ran in 2012. Hope and change. He was going to bring hope and change. Now, to the average Joe, that sounds good because we got done with George Bush and we were tired of that shit. We didn't want to be involved with a lot of the shit we were dealing with education and the war and what happened with Katrina. I want change. I want hope. Wouldn't it be great if the Democratic Party could galvanize around one central, simple theme, like hope and change, like make America great again, that the entire establishment and their
far left progressive wing of the party can buy into and perpetuate that message and advertise that message, give a nice public relations pitch on that message, that's what he's talking about. You guys don't have that, and as long as you don't have that, you'll continue with the internal strife and feuding.
All right, so I want to say this. What we have to think about is this, right? The reason why people are the way they are today is because the last 15 years, maybe even 20 years, America has been dumbed the fuck down. The advent of toxic content on social media, the messages purported in entertainment, so on and so forth, has severely dumbed us the fuck down. And so when somebody, so it's really easy to keep, for people not to pay attention to important issues. Therefore, the messaging has to be simplified. We all have consensus on that. I think we all agree that your message when you're running for office, it's got to be spoon-fed to people. We can't assume that people have the sophistication and all the things that some of you on this stage have, right? The cognitive to process the shit. Everybody doesn't have a developed cognitive. Everybody doesn't have cognitive agility to just break shit down and know what it is. There's populations in this country that are focused on other things, and so anything that comes to them the simple side, they're going to absorb, they're going to eat it. And so the problem is number one, America has been dumbed way the fuck down, and I think their lack of cohesive messaging is hurting them. The Republican Party isn't even in existence anymore. The party that's in charge now is MAGA. MAGA has executed its plan over the last 20 years. So when Obama got in office, it sparked a resurgence of a lot of racism and groups and things like that, because racism is etched in the fabric of North America. And they did their job. They got their messaging, their talking points. They did everything they had to do as far as infrastructure is concerned, messaging is concerned, continuity is concerned, and they're all moving in concert. And this is why what we see today is so easy to be executed, because what's really in place many years ago, this shit didn't just happen overnight. And so we got to treat it as such. So I'm going to land with this. I think we need simple ass messaging. Like New York, for example, is expensive. For me to walk out the door right now, living in Manhattan, every step we take is money. Everything, it's just, you always got to spend money. It's expensive. And those people who are just working, doing what they got to do, are feeling the pressure of just everyday life. It's not like they're spending frivolously. It's not that. It's just living life in New York has become extremely expensive. So anybody that's speaking to bring relief to that, and they could come with some other bullshit, is going to get the votes. Simplicity, guys. We got to get back to simplicity.
I agree with you to an extent, Robert. I think the logic, so I'm going to cut this, since we can't be on both. We can't say to people, we on the 5th and 6th grade level, and we have to simplify our messages for them, implying that people don't have the ability to understand the complexity of the messages. I think people do have the ability to understand the complexity of the messages. Is that they're being force-fed that information all at one time. That's not how most people learn. So the same problem with elections is the same problem that we have with our education system. If you do not tell them, you can't make the neighborhood expect people to show up on the day of the test and just understand it. If you haven't taught them in the off season for lack of a better explanation, if they haven't had the time to be able to prepare for said test. So the problem is that there is no education in between time. Nobody's addressing these people until election season. There's no talk to them until election season. And what I was suggesting earlier is that there need be a education program. Yes, but they're not getting between their time so that people can understand what it is that they'll become, what it is that you're actually presenting to them. And to your point, Robert, it's the exact same thing that so-called Republicans have done, but in a different way. They actually force-fed that propaganda to them so that they actually believe this nonsense now, so that come election time, you don't actually have to do that with them. They understand the message. They understand what the goal is, no matter what the goal is. And we understand what the goal is, but we understand that everything else is just a detail and a way to pep rally in a sense. And that's exactly what's happening here. If there's not a time in between, you engage your voters, you show them exactly what it is that
Constantly like being a boss.
Because he's a moderator. Because I'm a moderator. And the fact is that they are literally, Rob was allowed to speak. He was allowed to speak. Quinn is allowed to speak. What is the issue of not having diarrhea about a house?
Can I speak? Wait, hold on. I want to respond to Quinn.
Quinn, hold on, just a second. Quinn, will you finish?
Okay, so real quick, Quinn, you and I are in agreement. I think there needs to be an educational component to how these politicians move. They have to take the time out, not right before a freaking election. This is a election. I agree. I think there's an educational component that needs to be a part of any long-term campaign strategy. I agree with you. I'm in sync with you on that, and I believe that the best communicators need to be communicating. Someone asked the question, who speaks for the Republican Party, rather the Democratic Party? None of us could say that because their messages are all over the place. You listen to one, they say one thing. Listen, like they have no cohesiveness to their messaging and how they deliver it. So I am in agreement with the basic premise of what you said.
Real quick, sweet. I just want to have a kumbaya moment because after all that fussing and fighting, Quinn and fucking Agent P agreed. They finally got to the point. Because I was saying that they were saying that.
Messaging problem. He's not saying that.
What's crazy was they were saying the same thing. She was just saying that a populist message is how they have been able to win these elections because it's simplistic, it grabs it. But he was just saying that is what she said. That is what she said. You were not in the room. That is what she said. He was saying that he agrees there's a messaging issue, but most people vote moderate. He doesn't believe that you have to dumb down everything. This is why I say the TCU been at this shit with me for almost 2 years now. And when I go off at you, you want to play on it. You do this shit every time you call us. We had a great conversation. You have comments that you are actually a good person to speak to. I really do.
She don't try to be, she tries to be as fair as possible.
As the one that brought the room back under some control, I will tell you real answer.
Go ahead, sweet. I just wanted to bring it back because people was like at these two for a while. And TC came and threw a fucking blowtorch on it. And I'm just like, thank you that these two understand now that we cleared the conversation that other things are going, that they actually agree. I just wanted to get to that, give them their kudos, and then we can get back.
I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's been said, but I don't know how you guys are so intent on educating a population that doesn't want to be educated. So all this talk about this, that, and then another thing you don't do it is this more clubhouse talk. No one ever gets involved. No one's who's the educators on stage. Who's going to be there to do that? Where are you going to go to? I've been silent. So I don't even know how this is going to break down. I mean, you guys do this every year. We start this, and every one of you guys on the stage is going to be educating anybody. This is the way to talk to you. To be educated. How are you going to do it? Where is it going to happen? When is it going to start? It's just, it's good entertainment.
I've been trying to talk personally.
Really quick, as a member of Alpha Sorority Incorporated, one of the main things that my organization, as well as the Divine Nine and other Black organizations, one of the main things and focus has been voter education. We take, whether it's midterms, whether it's the primaries, educate people. Please don't take Clubhouse as a small forum that people aren't doing the work. I know Patty, I know a few other people, and some of us, yes, we may be loudmouths on conversation when it comes to Clubhouse, but we do stuff when we're outside of these meta walls. We do different things, so I don't know if people may not be doing it around you, but I definitely know people are definitely having needs to get information.
I wasn't talking to you. I wasn't talking to you, Finn. Okay.
Oh, I know, B. I was making it generalized.
I agree that you guys are doing the 99. I know Patty's involved. You don't know me, so you don't know what I'm doing. But I think that's perfect. And I know that I'm not talking to you. The message is for who it's for. But I'm saying that we do this every go round. And no, when I'm out there trying to do it, I don't see nobody else. I'm just saying people know who I'm talking to. They know who the message is for. And that's pretty much it. I'm not talking to anyone who's out there really doing it. And much respect to you and the 99 and the work that you're doing in the community. Continue to do that. And I'll be looking out for you. Because I'll be looking out there when I'm out there.
I'd love to see more. Yeah, I'd love to see more of us out here. It's very much. I'm taking that right there. So that's what I'm doing out here.
Our organization to do that, and it's very difficult because you run into the same problem that you run into here. You have people who don't understand. You have to, first off, you have to have people who understand how to be able to share it with other people. And unfortunately, that group of people is a minority. Our organization does that with Black men specifically because we think that there's a specific decline in detriment there. So that's what we focus on. But there are organizations who do voter education. There could be more. To Lisa's point, I mean, there could be more people. I'm sure it's a very small group of people because of the problem that we have existing. So each one really does have to teach one. It's slowly growing.
Let me be one in this room delivering the dream. Watch this. That little phrase right there. Or about this whole this 21 video. Any party, the vision, the simplicity, make America great again. Simple. You can wear t-shirts and pants. The simplicity of delivering on the promise. First one, like the actionable item of delivering, maximizing, moving toward this more like more money in your pocket there, and it could be that every month. And these, and see, it's not a black bag. And that puts you in the United States. Guess what? You have to hit every other grade to one degree or another and get some kind of buy-in. So when they compare you to the other voice or the other two voices or whatever from the other parties or the other one party, there's your thing resonate, and you can build all kinds of particulars like around your thing. But it's got to be something that people say, I like that concept. Again, the delivering on the dream. Whatever. How many people would like buy into that? Like it's a different kind of thing, but it's similar to this change is all up in there. But this idea that there's a vision now, this idea that we're moving still toward this perfect union. You know, we're not there yet, but the idea is we're in motion doing some stuff, and then here's some of the details of how we plan to do it. But this bigger picture, you gotta have a hat, you gotta have a t-shirt. Always my point. It's bigger than a hat and a t-shirt, but you gotta have a thing that people say, that right there that's my button I'm gonna wear. That right there, I'll get behind that person because people want to believe and they do want to realize it can be like, yeah, not give up on hope and change and all that good stuff. And you know, the sky's the limit or whatever it is. There's no shortage. They should have a team just figuring that part out, and then from there we rally behind that because it's got to be a feeling tone to it that white folks, black folks, poor, young, brand new people in the country, you can say, okay, because they know America is unique. You know, nobody trying to do the American Constitution is doing all these other things. So they know that, but if you can just hone in on the best practices of this planet and you can deliver that from the White House, bro, and everybody can eat. So okay. Talk to me. So let me just grab it, put this last 5 seconds on this. That simplicity, you don't have to dumb anybody down. Just make it simple. That's all.
So we also have to be careful with some of the
50,000 people canvassing throughout all of New York City. That's pretty major. And they didn't just start. They actually started in my district like 8 years ago. Whenever they got in one person, boom, as a state senator, Julia Salazar. Then they got another state senator. So now they have, it's not just AOC, right? It is a bunch of state senators and city council and assembly. And to be honest with you, Zoran was not even supposed to win. Zoran ran to bring attention to the party, right? Because he's not, he doesn't have a lot of experience. But they ran him so that, he could gain experience and he could bring attention to the party. But then the movement started to grow and it was just very grassroots and they started engaging with people. And they had that simple message of affordability. And yes, he's a democratic socialist, which a lot of people don't like socialists, but he ran on free bus, ran free for 4 years, and one more thing, I forgot what it was, but that's the point he kept emphasizing, not LGBTQ, not defund the police, all that stuff, which he does support, but that's not really what the focus was, and they engaged a ton of people. And so if it's something that Democrats can use, and I'm talking about Democrats nationally, the DNC, I'm sure they're meeting with DSA and trying to learn from them and trying to see, like, hey, what can we implement? Because if you're talking about vibes, like Brooke said, vibes, Zoran's message wasn't even developed. Like, you go on his website, you look at his housing platform, you look at all the platforms, you compare that with Brad Lander, and Brad Lander's was way better. I mean, he had, like, his policies were way better developed. Brad Lander was actually doing something that was pretty cool. It was like going into people's homes and having like intimate, little town halls in with people's home. Like Scotty went to one. So those are the type of things that Brad Lander, didn't do. But the actual vibes of Zoran, which he came out of nowhere. Like I said, there's no way that they were expecting him to win at the beginning. Right? There's no way he's only passed like 2 bills, and one of them deals with rodents, right? He is not an experienced person. And there's other people in that party that have way more experience than Zoran. But anyways, I think he was charismatic, sure. Yeah, he is charismatic. He's a good-looking guy. He's a male. So he has a lot of good things going for him. But like others said, what's gonna work in New York City, where it's very much more progressive, we're willing to vote for someone that's Muslim. I didn't think it was a big deal, a person's religion, but apparently it is. But is he authentic? That's to be seen. I mean, went to a $60,000 a year public school for most of his life. Comes from wealth, owns multiple properties, has land in Africa, a bunch, like all these acres in Africa. He's a privileged person. So does he relate to the average New Yorker? Not at all. But, we shall see, right? But at least we can try to model like the ground game, knocking on doors, and engaging with people, educating people in that way.
And I also think it has to be motivated by progress perpetually, right? Not when you get discouraged, but it has to always be, because if we have noticed, you don't see the other side of the equation get discouraged. They are, even if they lose, they are still going at that message no matter what. So it has to be, that message has to be perpetual no matter what. We can't allow, we can't allow what's happening on the other side of the aisle to discourage you, or what may even be happening internally to discourage you. You have to continue with that message, continue pushing the conservative message.
You got like somebody put in the chat, Manuel, who didn't get caught in that whole thing that he put together. Like, that was so, it was a spin on it, if you will, for lack of a better word, in a very, very beautiful way. Like, living up to this creed, this Constitution. America's great and all. It's that Constitution, it's that intention. Go find that in Russia, go find that in China. Our institution will find that. That intention, has it been a hell of a bumpy ride for some? Hell yeah. Is it done? Hell no. But to give up on it, and to not like really, I think this large role right now that we created by Donald Trump to create something, an alternative that's better, but still have America first, but also like bring everybody else at the same time. And the problem me at first. Everybody wants to be first. But damn it, at the expense of the rest of the world, that's not necessary. And I'm just going to stay first.
Wait a second. Why hire Lin-Manuel Miranda?
Because what he did well, what it worked, what he put together, isn't that the one? Isn't that what's the name of the creator? Whoever the hell wants to win, Donald Trump just want to go grab it and embrace it. That works.
Lin-Manuel Miranda should be hired by Trump's team.
I know. Listen to my words. I don't care who wins. America has to win. So whoever wants to win, you put the players on your team. It's not like you're riding with the same team for 20 years like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. It's grab the players that win and work and put them on your team and move forward.
Well, I agree. I think the problem that you run into, though, is the fact that, I personally think that Democrats are not bad people. I think there are some significant exceptions, but generally speaking, Democrats technically be good people. But the problem is that they're suffering at the hands of bad systems, and those systems have perpetuated. Well, let me explain what I mean.
Okay, but I'm not on this stage trying to codify if Democrats are good or bad people. This is okay. So just help me out here. MAGAs are not good people. But they come in the room. I'm sorry I interrupted, but I did. MAGAs are not good people for the most part. I know a couple that are, well, they don't consider themselves MAGAs. Republicans and MAGAs are two different people. I've learned. But MAGAs are not good people. Everything they represent, their policies, their religious values that they try to oppress other people with, the mindset, even their morals, they're disrespectful, loud, ignorant, and they want to see people hurt. That's how they get off. If you go to Twitter, X, whatever the fuck they call it now, the guys over there are not good people, and they're billions. So I don't know why you just went over. So stay over there. You didn't cross the river Jordan. So stay over there. So you're in there with those people. You consider yourself a good people, but you're surrounded by heathens. And then you want to come over here and tell us how to comport ourselves and what we should do. You're blue, TC. You have nothing to do with what's going on over here. What we got going on. I don't even know why you're interested. You should be over there. And I'm being respectful because I kind of like you. But I wouldn't be over in the MAGA section trying to tell you guys how to reposition yourself and learn how to be human beings with any type of respect and dignity. I'm over here trying to work on my side, trying to get us to move forward and overtake the devil. So I don't know what fascination you have right now. You might not be who you say you are. You might not even be MAGA. You might just be here for attention.
Well, that's your mistake, Lisa, because you mistaken me. You think that I'm MAGA. I've said multiple times I'm not MAGA. I mean, I don't know how you can come to
You agree with everything, all the platforms. You agree with Trump. You agree with what he's doing, except for a couple of things. But you don't.
Most Republicans agree with a lot of what Trump is doing.
Talking about what's wrong with your party. You're over here talking about what's wrong with our party. And it's
Well, I've done that plenty of times. generally Democrats are good people, but I think they're being co-opted by messaging that's forcing them to see things that they other is evil. Just like what happened with John McCain and the lady when he was campaigning. She said, Obama, he's a terrorist. He's a Muslim. He's like, no, ma'am, he's not. That's the type of Republican is in the opposite.
Evil TC is your policies. Go back and let's talk about cutting off health care.
But he didn't cut off health care.
Sir, if you exactly what you did, 10 million people are going to lose. 10 million people plus are going to lose health care with the big major, the big beautiful bill. And food, let's not because I like to start with food because you guys say that don't care people are about wellness and having and most mandates are not well, but nonetheless,
why don't we agree that MAGA gets it wrong more than they get it right? Why don't we just agree with that? I don't think it's really what you're
take that stand out there with you on that.
I don't think we can debate that MAGA gets it wrong.
I'm just going over the policies that you guys have put forth thus far. I'm not trying to make you look wrong. I'm just sticking to the facts and sticking to what's been put forth thus far. Look at all the bills. I'm documented on this, right? That bill is hurting people.
I'm documented on this. I literally wrote, and I can post the link in the chat. It's documented. It's on a nationally syndicated magazine against MAGA. I've spoken out against MAGA on a regular basis. I said they are enemies to American progress. I am not a MAGA person. So what I am is I'm a rational, logical person. And what I'm saying is, when you listen to the messaging of the Democratic Party, it might not be evil, but it's anti-American as fuck. Like, I'm sorry, it is. Like, you can't sit here and expect people to corral around defund the police for fucking sake. That shit Democrats that were promoting defund the police, not the
DC, I get it, but you can't in all honesty, when you know that defund the police did not mean take the police out of the community.
Oh, I know that, but that was the messaging Democrats were trying to be on that.
No,
that's the point I'm making. Listen to me. I'm listening for a second, Lisa, because I'm telling you what the problem is. Messaging, that was a simple message for people to understand. That was a message people could sink their teeth into. And when I said to them, wait a minute, before I was thrown off the stage, like, goddamn, and the song was quit. Where do you think the lines are drawn? It's the Democrats that help the Republicans because of their messaging. The simple messaging that gets across is ammunition for the Republicans to eviscerate Democrats in elections. What you're talking about?
Let me tell you guys, hold on, I know you're judging because I'm going to be quiet. I swear to God, because I was quiet on this side. They took that message and co-opted. They took the message and I'm not, you know what, it's a blame for us because we allowed it to happen. Instead of coming out and saying, what the fuck are you talking about? Nobody's talking about getting rid of all the police in the communities. We're educated, sensible people. We know that our communities need to have some type of law enforcement. If you're in this audience and you think that they don't, you're delusional. There's no way you can make a society, a cooperative society, with some type of rules, guidelines, and people who enforce them. That is ridiculous. We allowed them to co-opt that message, talk about taking all the police out, doing, police knocks. We never said that. We were talking about community-based policing, taking the money that they're using to mow us down and shoot us down, and let's realign it or reallocate it someplace else to more community-based policing by people who look like us. It's really crazy. I'm saying they co-opted the message. That's my point right there. That was something that the Republic, that MAGA put on the Democrats. The Democrats never said anything about
New Jersey. Hold on. Let's talk about the facts for a second. Let's bring it to reality to elevate the conversation.
No,
Came to New Jersey. Okay, so stop it. It was a Democrat organization. Hold on.
Let us work through this. I'll give you guys back the mic because even if he didn't took it to defund the police, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking basically about how. Look at, I asked him a question and I don't know how we got to defund the police, but I asked you a question. When you look at the BOB, whatever the fuck you guys are calling it, the dumbest shit ever, big beautiful bill, we sit up here saying it like morons. You just look at it. Look at the things that it's been set up to do, proposed to do, line by line, and you see that it's nothing but hurting marginal people. How can you support that? How can you go to sleep at night knowing that people will not have food because they think people are sitting around all day long on a system that's not even designed to help you move forward? It's designed to keep you stagnant in a place of being I don't get a word. How can you then you move on to the next line? They're talking about taking away health care. These are basic to be food and health care in this country of more than what we need. People who are gluttony is a country of gluttony. How can you figure that the first thing you need to do to balance a budget is to take away from those that don't have and those who are struggling? I'm working at Walmart. I need the stamps. I need the health care because the big bad bully at Walmart, the people who own it, who are billionaires twice, 3, 4 times over, don't want to pay people what they're worth. So that's why people are doing that. So that's what we were talking about. I don't know how we got.
You got to that because you were talking about, he was giving an example of democratic principles that he thought were quote unquote un-American. You were talking about, he'd already answered what you said, Lisa. He conceded that MAGA gets it wrong more than they get it right. He said that. So we acknowledge that. So he did say that.
And that's what I'm gonna bring up.
Yeah, but when he was saying about defund the police, it's absolutely wrong, and he understands that. And my point to you, TC, is that you're doing exactly what they're doing. You were co-opting that message to use it against Democrats via propaganda, even though you
that's not true, and you know that's not true.
I'm going to tell you why you're doing that. You're doing that because it was not an official slogan of the Democratic Party. It was embraced by some progressive activists and a few Democratic politicians, but it was not the official slogan of the Democratic Party in any way, shape, or form. You are using that as you know that it didn't come from the Democratic Party. You're using it because it came from some Democrats who happen to be aligned with other organizations like Black Lives Matter.
So Quinn,
I would that evidence of Democratic.
Let's dialogue.
Let me say something. Wait, before you go, let me just say this. You're full of shit, and you know why you're full of shit to even bring up defund the police when
Brooklyn, I want to respond to you in a minute. Let me deal with Quinn right now.
When we were talking about defunding the police, you voted for Biden. So you're a fucking hypocrite, okay? Stop with the bullshit. We already know why. We know why we didn't win. We get that part. For you to keep bringing up all of these asinine points that have nothing to do with what we're talking about right now in 2025, it's ridiculous. Like, you voted for defunding the police, TC.
Did you
really vote for the fuck is you talking about? He voted for Biden, and he was a...
All right, are we done attacking the person that disagrees now? Can we get back to the conversation? No, I'm very consistent. And I've been consistent. I was your Lisa's. April, stop it. Hold on. I can deal with. Listen, you guys are ganging up on me now. First it was Brooklyn. Now I got to respond to April. Like, you guys stop. April, you were in the room. Yeah, because you're now maligning my motives. You're maligning my motives. I told you guys, there's no reason why Kamala Harris should be running right now. You need to have an open primary.
You need to have some sort of convention, some sort of like open debate system. Again, this has nothing to do with.
But that's not even accurate.
Because somebody decided to try and bring up my voting consistency, I had to defend it. But let me go back to Quinn.
What you do,
Hold on, Quinn.
No, I'm saying, but as a point of contention, brother, real quick, you do have to acknowledge what she said. If you voted in lieu of that, then
my voting has nothing to do with
Biden. Well, I understand that, but I'm saying that it's tough for you to make.
It's not tough. It's not tough. If you actually listen, hold on, dude.
Okay, I'm just.
You think you got me dead to rights, bro? I don't know why I came out against Kamala Harris. I don't know if you know why I came out against Kamala Harris. Let me. Yes, I introduced it because I have proof behind it. Unlike what you're saying, Quinn, you're actually wrong. This was not just some sort of like disjointed messaging from fringe groups in the Democratic Party that got, co-opted. That's exactly what you said.
No, sir, I can repeat what I said.
Okay, all right. Well, like I said, it was actually the position of the Democratic Party.
It wasn't. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, so let's deal with that then. Listen, you guys know me by now. I don't come on stages and say shit I cannot back up.
Okay.
You guys at least know that.
No, we never know that you're going on shit and back shit.
Anybody can Google this. Hold on. Anybody can Google this. The Democratic Party, the Democratic elected city council in Minneapolis literally pledged to dismantle their Minneapolis Police Department. This is not conjecture. This is not speculation. This is documented historical evidence. You can go look this up by the Democratic officials in that city. It was not some fringe group. It was not a co-opted message. It was the policy position of the Minneapolis City Council that was Democratic. Secondly, Camden, New Jersey. We know that they failed it and they overturned it eventually, but Camden, New Jersey, from their Democratic lawmakers, excuse 2020, go look it up.
Okay, we're talking about
Hold on. No, I'm done with Quinn. No, we're not talking about 2024 right now. We're talking about 2020 because Quinn said I didn't know what I was talking about. I had no proof to disprove his assertion that I was wrong, that this was some sort of co-opted messaging campaign. No, it was
that was not a national platform.
Stated. I didn't say it had to be. We talked about this before, Patty. It does not have to be a national platform for that to be the messaging that groups across the country adopt so that they can ideology. All I'm saying is this: you cannot expect Americans to sign up for the type of bullshittery anti-American messaging like defund the police that cities started adopting across this country, Democratic cities particularly, and say that's not the Democratic message. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I'm dumb. But that's the message that everybody got, and that's the message that defeated you guys in 2024 because they were able to. Because you gave the Republicans the.
I'm gonna say, but defund the police was doing. Defund the police was doing that. That's 2020. That was during COVID.
Hold on.
So why are you bringing up something that would happen in 2020 when the person who you decided to vote for just last one had actually lost? Defund the police was 2020.
That's what I'm saying. This is a pointless point. If you would have said the trans issue, yeah, we might have could have went with that, but you didn't. You and Lisa were talking about now. This administration, this last election, you want to bring up 2020. This is why we don't listen to you. And no, you never come with any points. It's never right. You're always wrong.
TC, I have a question for you. Are there, and we know that there are, so I'm just being rhetorical, but
I would like for you to grapple with the reality that your position was wrong, that this
I don't have to do
stated policy position of Democrats in office. They adopted the messaging and they promoted the messaging.
Well, the problem is that you're addressing and that's exactly what I was addressing by asking you that question. Because there are some Democrats that link on to some policies, does that make it a Democratic position?
It does for that city, yes it does.
Well, I didn't say for that city. I asked you a general question. I didn't say for that city. I said, does it make it a general Democratic message? Because there are some Democrats that latch on to that message. You can say yes or no. It's a really easy answer.
I think he left.
It's see, that was getting ready to expose the hypocrisy in his messaging, because he actually voted for a party which he doesn't align with all of the things in the party. He actually voted for a party and even though you co-opted that message, you still don't agree with everything in the party, but you still voted.
He doesn't align.
So
he doesn't align. This is all an act. That's why he has stupid drunk points.
Gotcha. Okay, we can move on.
Yeah, this is an act.
Shit was just, oh my God. Like, out of all of the things he could have mentioned, he about to say defund the police.
This is why I tried to
And he literally
spur another conversation. But nah, people with me and me, I've dealt with him doing this shit for 2 fucking years now.
See, I
2 fucking years.
I don't talk to him that much, so
like 2 fucking years. I remember when he was Biden, he was Biden, and all of a sudden it just went to Trump out of left because Kamala became the goddamn nominee. Like we've seen every fucking thing evolve. That's why I said I'm gonna just let this go ahead and go, because people like Whitney laying on top, Whitney mean, Whitney did it. I said, okay, I'm gonna let his ass talk, and he talked his ass into a fucking swivel.
No, I didn't. I stood on every position I stood on. I was on everything I said. I didn't talk myself into it. I appreciate you for letting me speak. I think I've spoken.
You said we lost. You said that the Democrats lost an election or something that was in 2020. That is crazy. You can come back from that. You can't come back from that. You said they lost an election off defund the police when Biden won that election. Democrats won that election.
Hold on. Calm down for a second. You guys are confusing 2 completely different things. I was talking about messaging that Americans rejected. Right. And I referenced the defund the police. What Quinn said was that was not the position of the Democrats. Those were fringe groups that adopted the messaging and co-opted it. It got co-opted, is what he said.
He about to try to swizzle his way up out of this bag.
You mentioned Black Lives Matter, which is actually what I mentioned originally.
Black Lives Matter is not a fringe group. They're still.
Okay, so it's fine. You want to quibble over semantics, Quinn?
I'm not right now over semantics. I'm saying
fine. I'll concede that point.
Black Lives Matter.
That they're not a fringe group.
No, I'm not even talking about
y'all about to see Houdini.
I'm doing
y'all about to see Houdini in the flesh. How he about to try to get himself up out of here.
I'm actually over the conversation because you guys can't even deal with facts.
No, I'm not.
I'm debating whether or not Black Lives Matter is a fringe. I'm not basis of what I'm saying.
That's not what I said.
When you presented,
I started making wedding plans. Oh yeah. I had to get put on some goddamn what's love got to do with it, because what TC got to do with this conversation, we don't fucking know, baby. He about to try to get us all off topic, all derails and all, to try to prove a point. I know it ain't gonna work out fine. It ain't gonna work out fine. TC been telling you it ain't gonna work out fine. Oh no. No, it's not gonna.
Ask him about Epstein again. I wonder how he can swivel out of that.
I wasn't referring. I just mentioned that they weren't fringe groups. TC. I'm acknowledging your point. There were some Democrats who embraced that message. My point to you is what you said is not true, in that it wasn't a Democratic policy. Hence the question I asked you.
Because there are some to you it was a Democratic policy. I gave you actual city councils that literally created policy around that messaging, which is what got interpreted by Americans. Okay, fine. Hold on. Fine, that's fine, Quinn. I'll give you that. I'll concede whatever you want me to concede. At the very least, what you can't do is you can't run away from the reality that this was messaging perpetrated by the Democratic Party that got nationally syndicated.
And that was the case.
And that's what.
And that was a good message, because Biden won based on it. And that was the case. And it was a good message because Biden won when that message was fucking popular. So what your point is still not right. You're wrong. Either way.
We're sitting here talking about 2020 while last week an American, a veteran, was arrested and held for 3 3 days by ICE. We're talking about this fucking bullshit. You know why? Because they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about alligators. They don't want to talk about Epstein. So they're deflecting about how Democrats are so horrible and terrible and never do anything right, blah, blah, blah. While the Supreme Court, the White House, and Congress are all Republican, all on that side, and we're in hell right now. But you want to talk about 2020 and defund the police. This is wild. The depths that you guys will go to, not to speak about what's going on today.
And he'll be gone in 5 months because he don't want to talk about the real stuff.
The terrible decisions in their 2024 vote. Let's talk about that and how people are losing. His supporters are losing in real life. Let's talk about that. Like, all of them trailer park people are losing their fucking Medicaid and their food stamps. All of that.
It's not only the trailer. It's not only the trailer park people that are going to be affected by the Medicaid,
but I'm just saying, like, his people. The most vulnerable. Yeah, I'm specifying his people that live in the trailer parks.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I think, like, again, like, my issue with, okay, granted, like, okay, we're like, oh, fuck around and find out, right? You guys, buried yourselves. But at the end of the day, this is going to be so disastrous to the healthcare industry, and it's quite scary how the emergency departments are going to be inundated with a lot of sick people. A lot of people are not going to be able to receive preventative care. They're not going to be able to afford the medications that they need to be on. Also, that the premiums for people like us are going to increase because, like, Medicaid historically doesn't really pay, right? And so private insurance has always picked up, the cost lost due to Medicaid, and now our premiums are going to increase, which we know, like, the primary catalyst for people, declaring bankruptcy is due to medical costs, outlandish medical costs. So I'm just like, I'm so disgusted with, like, how you guys are saying with the Republican Party and how they want to use distracting measures to not focus on what's really affecting the American people, which is, like, the healthcare infrastructure, or the lack of healthcare infrastructure, the lack of housing, etc. It's just, I don't know, it's just really sad that we're in this state right now, and TC keeps windmilling for.
He's gone. He's gone. He comes
I can't even see them.
My whole point with dude is always asking him. I was going to ask him this, and he doesn't stay around long enough because he sees where it's going, obviously. But are there Republican policies? Are there policies that are considered Republican that aren't actually, that most Republicans actually don't even agree with? And I know he can't answer that question. He'll try to obfuscate and try to divert from the question. But there are plenty of Republican policies that are considered Republican that most Republicans don't even agree with. So I mean, there's an endless line of them. So and I know he doesn't know that. But I mean, I was just going to ask him because that's how you box him in. And he obviously is going to start windmilling when you do that. But people like him always do that. He's trying to make an argument that because some Democrats made that argument, that apparently it's now Democratic policy, which is dishonest and disingenuous.
I gave him 5 minutes. He left in 2. Anytime you turn the conversation to what's currently going on, they will not stay and discuss it with you. And if they do, they'll stay and say, well, that 13-year-old, she was probably twitching her ass in front of Trump, and that's why. It's always something. It's always somebody else's fault. It's always something else going down, and he had no choice to do what he did. They can't conversate on that.
I just want to thank y'all. I've been here for a couple hours just listening, not saying shit, one or two a few times, but the way y'all been running them off is fucking hilarious. Y'all helping me with my editing for my YouTube videos I gotta drop today.
I just don't understand why you gotta be disingenuous. Like, make the argument in good faith, man. If you're wrong, you're just fucking wrong. What's the point of joke? What's the problem with just being wrong about something? Don't make the argument unless you understand it. Like there's Joe B. Like I know she doesn't have a fucking clue what she's ever talking about. But she asked me the same question. Well, she's asking the question to what most Republicans agree to. That's what she said. That's dishonest. You don't even know what the framing of the question was. She would agree with me if she actually understood the framing. She doesn't even understand. She's just arguing to argue, and to me, that is stupid. I hate when people do that.
Is it okay?
One thing I will give Joe B, she does believe in what she's talking about. TC, you can't even. It's not the same.
It's stupid nonetheless, but she didn't even understand the framing of the argument. She's disagreeing with something she probably fundamentally agrees with. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Can I jump in for a second?
Okay, so be nice and let Joe B go ahead and say what she has to say.
Oh, I'll wait.
That's L. That's L.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Elle. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just a couple things. It's okay. I want to remind all of us that the slogan from 2024 was "We're not going back." So let's not go back. I completely agree. We need to stay in the present, which is, I would agree, hell. I want to bring up two things. One is that one of the things we're starting to see now, and this is kind of sad to me because one would hope in a perfect world we would all give a really big shit about the fact that people are being disappeared off the streets. But one thing that's now developing is that humans who are willing to show up at an ICE raid and actually even take a video on their phone, much less actually confront these mass goons, are now also in danger of being deported. That's number one. Number two, I mentioned Gaza in the chat because there is true hell going on there. It was just determined that the remaining Palestinians in Gaza are now at what's considered the fourth level of malnutrition. We're talking about such a horrific situation there. If I have to go back to 2024, I'm going to say, and I'll say it many times, yes, obviously, I had much more confidence in Biden and Kamala. However, when it came to Gaza, they were not willing to take a stand in terms of the fact that we are continuing to fund the genocide. Yes, that's my word. I'm going to stand with it. I'm not going to fight with anybody here. I do not have the energy. But it is a horrific situation, and we are still in it. And whoever is going to take the helm is going to really need to take a stand on this government continuing to fund that. So that's what I wanted to say.
I'm sure they're meeting with DSA.
Amen, Al. I concur.
I'm going to put an article, I'm going to give the room an article and a piece by Ezra Klein that was in the New York Times today that addresses what is going on in terms of Jewish people and Israel right now, because it is tearing my community apart. It is tearing my own personal family, my two children apart. But it's a much, much bigger issue. And, we keep talking about we can't tolerate watching children starve. But what are we watching? We're watching it 24/7 on our phones like we're in some freaking simulation. It is not a simulation. It's the real thing. We just have to fight that. I also have a petition I'm going to put in the chat. It's a petition I'm going to ask you to sign that says that you will not support any politician who votes to continue sending arms. I'm not talking about defensive weapons. I'm not talking about the Iron Dome. I'm talking about the horrific bombs that are turning children into amputees, burning their skin off, etc. It is unthinkable, unbearable, and to me, we just cannot look away.
Is that where we're going with the conversation now?
I didn't necessarily mean to reroute the conversation, just wanted to give my 2 cents.
Oh, I just had research. I was curious about the messaging for the 2024 campaign. And you know what it was? Like, we know what the Republican, what Mr. Trump's was, right? You know what it was for the Biden-Harris ticket? Let's finish the mission. That is just the weak. Like most of us probably didn't know that was the slogan for that campaign. So that's an example of poor messaging because I didn't know what it was. I don't know how many people know.
I'm asking because I don't know. I'm talking about as far as this situation.
You mean this situation? This is
the Gaza-Israel situation.
Oh, I actually, we were pivoting there, and she just said that she wanted to get that off her chest. But if we're pivoting there, that's cool.
Oh, I thought you said that was the myth. I thought you were still on that topic.
Yeah, no, we were talking earlier about messaging, and so I wondered what were past administrations and campaigns, what their messaging was. They're different over the years, but I focused in on what the Democrat was.
Obama's was yes, we can.
Yeah, we know that. I'm talking about, see, what you just mentioned, that was clear. I'm saying the messaging and the campaign slogan of the 2024 election, I don't think if I would have asked anybody this without saying the answer, most of us would not have known it. But it was.
Hey, Robert, I was actually saying that to agree with you. Like, the fact that we don't have, like when you see the golden arches, you know it's McDonald's. You know what I mean? When you see a MAGA hat, you know it's Trump. When we hear yes, we can, we know it's Biden. They didn't have that slogan, Obama attached to the formula. That was just undeniable, irrefutable, embedded in your brain type of marketing and branding. Now, she might not have had enough time to do so, though, because she really had to rush her campaign. So for the time she had, I still think she accomplished a lot. But I think clear branding is like, even though it's not business, this is business. Politics has become business. I thought that Kamala Harris was we're not going back.
I don't remember.
We're not going back.
And what was that? Beyonce song?
Was not her slogan at all.
That's before. Oh, you know what? That's probably.
What was that Beyonce song that she kept coming out on?
Freedom.
Yeah. It was those two things. But Robert, what I was saying is, I thought the message for Israel Gaza was to finish the job or whatever that was you said.
Crazy. That's a massacre over there. Like, I'm not arguing anybody about what's going on in Palestine. This is a clear, those people are decimated. Like, what's going on there is just, it is the result of a very aggressive Netanyahu. That's all this is. We are really living in the time when we look back over this years, we're going to realize that he went in and ravaged them, literally. Like, it is ongoing. Like, there's no question about it. But some people will try to make a reason for it, and I'm not.
Is that your background?
Yeah, I got my gospel. I got a little gospel rocking. Yes, I had my brunch. I made a delicious brunch. And I'm just unwinding and trying to listen to this conversation. Y'all all over the place. So I'm just tapping in here and there. I don't want to get into no big debates there. I don't even have the energy.
Hey, real quick, I did want to go back to something that Quinn was expressing earlier. I couldn't chime in because I was moving around, but working. But at the end of the day, I kind of really agree with him when it came down to the moderate aspect of Dems and how that is the majority, and a lot of people don't appeal to that. And if you want to take it to an even bigger level, a lot of the mods that are Dems identify silently as the silent majority, and that is who Trump appealed to. He appealed to the silent majority, the people that are scared to express their opinions because they might get political pushback, but they still feel those feelings and vote along those lines, because it's kind of like being online. You won't know how they voted, and you won't have to be identified and has to be appealed to. If not, I think there's going to be a problem again.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'm trying to understand your argument. You said that.
Not even an argument.
No, I'm trying to say your comment. You said that
you were saying clear. You were saying there are a lot of Democrats that are moderates, right?
Yeah, most Democrats are moderate.
And I'm agreeing with that and saying that those are part of the silent majority and they're not being appealed to enough. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you know what though? Honestly, I don't think that they need to be appealed to. I think there's a segment of the party who's the
I hate to say French, but there's a smaller segment of people who consider themselves, and the way the conversation came up, Joe and I, was we were talking about how the people from how the Bernie Bros intersect with the Trump MAGA people, and it's that populism. It's that anti-government. It's that anti-establishment. So that's where and that is not, although they believe that it is, because they're a louder segment of the party. They believe it's a larger constituency than it is, and it's not a large group of people. They're just a very vocal segment of the people, and they believe that message is resonating, but their constituency is not growing, because, as I've said time and over, and it's been confirmed, that the moderates in the party are the largest number of people. So, I mean, no matter how much, and that does not mean that their message is not important and it should be listened to. I'm simply stating that they don't even remotely represent most Democrats in the party. As a matter of fact, I would even almost, at the risk of being hyperbolic, I would say that they're literally kind of a different party.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with that. I guess what I'm coming from is a different angle. What I'm saying is a lot of the mod Dems are swing voters and a part of the silent majority, and if they're not appealed to, you won't know it, but they'll fucking line up on the other side, and you'll be sitting there like, what the fuck happened? Because you don't know who voted for who. They're not going to tell you they did it, they just do it. That's why they're called the silent majority, and that's why they're considered a part of the silent majority, and I do believe they have to be appealed to, or you might fucking lose.
Hey, gentlemen, I have a question for you. So the Republicans morphed into the MAGA, right? What do you think the Democrats are going to morph into? Like, what can you give any insight on how you think it's going to transition into today's Democrat? Because the traditional Democrats obviously have fallen out of favor. Well, what are your thoughts on that, if you don't mind?
That's kind of curious. I mean, interesting. I'm curious as to what it could be. I'm not going to pretend to have insight on that because I don't see a clear-cut path right now for them to morph into an alternate form of the party or a subgroup in the party that's strong enough to represent a subculture, I should say, inside the party that could represent in a way that MAGA is progressive.
It's easy. Progressives.
The working family.
So hey y'all, I don't know if y'all gonna have the men's room later or y'all gonna have it soon. I don't know, so y'all just need to let us know.
Okay, thank you. And so as a follow-up, Gemini, I haven't figured it out.
I'm talking with one quick, just Gemini.
I'm down to do it, which is why I've been here, even though I haven't been talking. I've been here since like.
Yeah, so y'all can let us know what's going on. So.
I'll join you guys in the grooming thing when you're ready. As soon as
something organized and structured to do today, but yeah, I'm definitely down to host a men's room and get started.
Hey, Shan here, yeah. So y'all go ahead and start setting up your room and then send me the back channel and then I'll push everybody over there. But y'all go ahead and continue the conversation until they get this shit together.
Hey, you should check your back channel.
I think that the natural progression, what has been the natural progression from establishment Democrats, I don't even think that we can call it an evolution. I just think that there's a fringe, and I have to keep framing it that way. There's a segment of the party who are a little bit more to the left than they are moderate. Those will be identified as progressives. Progressives tend to be a bit more in the alignment with the independent or Bernie segment of whatever you get. I don't even call Bernie a segment of the party because he's an independent. Bernie shits on Democrats in a lot of ways. So it's just, I think that if you're asking that question, to answer that question, I think that's probably if you want to frame it as a progression, that's probably the natural quote unquote progression. That would be what the yin to the Republicans yang. You had the Republicans who, after Obama, there was a segment that the Tea Party development, which actually ended up devolving into MAGA, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think, what I just said, should you hear me think? I think if Bernie was about 15 years younger, if he was a little younger, he could get some legs under him. But a lot of young people seem to resonate with him. I had a friend of mine who had mentioned him to me many years ago. And so Bernie now, he's up there in years now, but I believe if he were a little younger, you might see him and freaking what's the name? What's the Spanish lady? Ortez.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right, and I didn't mean to mess up.
No, it's all good. AOC, if he gets his AOC.
You will probably see him and AOC on a ticket together. That would be interesting. But
they would lose.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but I'm just being creative here.
No, I hear you. I'm just saying that, they would lose badly.
Too divisive? Think she's too divisive?
No, I just think you got two people who don't add to you, who are generally of the same mind on the same ticket. So I mean, they don't add anything to a ticket. Like, what I'm saying, it's just, to me, it just doesn't work. And I think many people would say that didn't work. That would not be a good ticket.
What do they share? Is there any politics that they are
politics? Their politics are damn near aligned. I'm just saying. I mean, she's considered to be him in a skirt, for lack of a better explanation.
Okay, so it made sense what I said. Okay.
No, it's exactly that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
No, but I don't obviously know. If we're talking about whether that's a winning ticket, that's definitely not a winning ticket.
Any other thoughts on that from anyone else? No.
Yeah, I would venture to say that's a losing ticket. They don't add anything. You don't capture any moderates that way. The ticket is way too far to the left, and I think people misunderstand it. And someone please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. But the moderates don't necessarily have a problem with progressives, other than the fact that some of the stuff that's being proposed is not conceptualized thoroughly. Right, all of the things sound good. I mean, that's a populist message. Generally, so you get, free health care. You get, all the things. Yeah, free. So yeah, you get
money because you make more money than people.
Without a consideration that you have to still pay for those things. Like, they just aren't going to be free. So they're just not conceptualized thoroughly. Like, that's the real problem. And it's the emotion around it and the lack of scholarship that really kind of turns moderates off.
I see. Because I'm wondering, I'm thinking, what is going to be the movement that's really going to galvanize people, across all backgrounds, not just, Black Americans, right? Not just what the hell is it going to take for people to just realize some things that come together? I have no clue, man. I done looked at it from different angles. I'm trying to listen to different voices. Nobody's getting traction. No one is getting traction.
Robert, did you say AOC and Bernie?
Yes, I wondered. I put that on the wall. I was pondering it. Yeah, I was pondering.
Yeah, Quinn's 1,000% right. That's an absolute lie. Bernie's too old. But
yeah, it wouldn't even Trump. So we're talking about extreme on both sides.
Yeah, the corporations would line up against them. They wouldn't go anywhere. AOC is a possible VP candidate for damn sure, but not with Bernie.
So who with?
I'll tell you what will change the conversation. If you want to know what's going to bring both sides together, because like I've said many times, the Bernie Bros and the MAGAs are saying the same shit. It's going to be AI, and it's going to be as you have humanoid robotics, and we have what I think will probably be a technological recession worldwide, and it's especially attacking the working class, white collar working class, which is being assaulted right now. Intel is going to lay off 5,000 and maybe more. And as that continues, you're going to see both sides come together on the AI front. I think that's the absolute game changer between 2027 and 2032.
I wish people would stop saying AI is the future. Like AI is right now. Like that future, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna now we're moving into a super intelligence. But AI is here right now, and people are using it, and it's now. Like all that future stuff is crazy. It's now. It's happening right now in 2025.
But how does that correlate to? I'm curious. How does that correlate to what you were saying, Trent, in terms of where people find collective, where we'll find a. I don't understand. You have to.
Because you guys vote with your pocketbooks. No, I mean, it's true. When it comes down to all people care about the private money, and what is going to happen? What is happening? It's not what is going to happen. Robert's 100% right. What is happening is you will see a congruence of minds in how to, as we have an economic calamity. I don't know how big it will be. You know, some people think it's 10 years off. I think I tend to.
2027 is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think we're within 18 months. We're actually seeing it right now. It's starting to happen right now.
But I'm just trying to figure out where you think people are going to find some sort of where they're going to find a commonality between AI and
That's the question. And before you,
I think we're going to have what I think will happen, which I'm completely against, is universal basic income will be talked about on both sides. And I just want you guys to know I'm actually completely against that. But I think that's going to be and the changing of work-life balance. All these things are going to come into together. The social issues will become less and less because, to be honest, the Democrats win on the social issues with this upcoming generation. I think the social issues become less and less a problem, but the AI and technology will become more of a.
I think the economic upheaval will begin to surface in 2027. Two things are going to happen. Here's a convergence, right? The first convergence is going to be, first of all, let's realize SNAP and these other benefits. People say, oh, we want people to work. People are currently working and need SNAP, right? The problem is that the wages don't allow them to make ends meet, right? These large corporations are not paying at a competitive way for people to freaking live and do just the basic things, right? And so, again, most people that are on welfare and SNAP, a large percentage of them are hardworking, law-abiding citizens in low-paying jobs, right? I would have loved that package to have a component to transition those type of workers into to be trained and so that they can transition into other industries and make more money. So that's that. But I think the economic impact of people and what's going to happen once this law takes effect, I think we're going to feel that in 2027. Like, I think that's what it's going to hit. So I think the pending crisis will culminate in 2027. That's my thoughts so far at this time.
I don't see that there's any. Forgive me. I don't see that there's any commonality. I don't see that happening anytime soon. If it ever happens, I don't even see that there being one unifying thing that pushes people together. The universal basic income thing is interesting. I don't think that you're going to get that past anybody. To be quite honest with you, I don't know how we square that circle.
So,
physically conservative Republicans and.
Do you agree that the economy is going to go awry? Do you agree with that?
Well, let me give a point on. I'll give you a real world example. I won't be long laughter. I'm not like TC. I'm not an idiot. Actually, I'm in this for a living.
Wow.
When we began, when we began looking at AI for dealers in 2023, it was met with heavy skepticism. And this is.
What you say about Pat?
You know AI because you use AI as a car dealership.
Yeah. So when we were,
I'm confused with pushing AI when you have no AI certifications or anything like that, right?
Okay. So when we began looking at AI,
no, I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. or IT. You start being a car salesman. Or you say you're in the industry. What part of the industry you're in with tech or AI? I'm confused.
Do you really think I'm a car salesman?
You're a marketer. At least what you say. I don't know what you are. I don't know what you are from day to day. I didn't know you were in AI or IT. So
You was a car salesman. Ain't nothing shitty for being a car salesman.
I'm not a car salesman. That's why my No, I'm in product innovation. You can go look at. I mean, my LinkedIn's public. You can go look at what I do. So when we were looking at this, what is your question, my man? I'll answer it real quick. I'm not AI certified. I'm not a.
Okay, so why do you say you're in AI? Like you work in an industry, right? Going on ChatGPT because it's make you fucking AI. So going on ChatGPT doesn't mean you're in tech.
So listen, you can ask what I do is I look at the companies, and I look at the companies and what they do and how they will translate and make car dealerships better, right? And it is AI in tech. Will their systems conform with the system that we have in place when we're talking about DMSs, CRMs, the communication structure, and then they need to.
I'm researching doctors, so I'm gonna start calling myself a doctor.
But then they need to conform to all the state laws, which is why I was talking about. I've talked to you guys about the state laws before. But let me just give you this definition, and you can say I'm stupid. That's fine. When we first brought this forward, I brought it forward because I'm supposed to look at products that are 2 to 4 years out from being fully adopted. AI in 2023 by a lot of people inside our industry was disputed, and we didn't. I'll be honest, it didn't complete sentences. It didn't always make sense. It would like there was a famous case where someone asked about a Silverado, and it recommended a Ford F-150 instead of the Silverado. So we weren't sure that this was going to be something that could be used. I'll fast forward. We launched, and you can look it up, Asian, it's fine. We ended up launching, and this was part of my project I can talk about now. We launched Impel AI for communication for all dealers. And it's been extremely successful. And what is now happening, we are looking at other parts of the communication that have to do with video, that have to do with voice. And this is coming in. I'm talking to dealers. Dealerships, while you don't know, are often at the forefront of what businesses do. Dentist office, doctor's offices, healthcare, insurance companies often emulate what dealerships end up doing. And so because we're seeing this change in the automotive industry, I have no doubt it's going to spread to it is spreading to other industries.
So Trey, I'm gonna say one thing. So when you're done, I'm gonna say one thing, leave you alone, bro. Yeah, it's not even that someone trying to come at you, but you gotta stop bullshit, bro. Just because your company is doing an AI software doesn't mean you guys are even fucking making it. I could get an AI software in anything right now. Hold on, Trey, hold on. If you can give me any category right now, I can get a software for you that's white labeled by going to making one phone call or one fucking website and buying it, bro. Doesn't mean I'm the one who developed it because I'm putting my name on it.
That's correct. We do not make the software.
No, you don't represent yourself that way. When you come to the room, you're talking like you're the one behind the project. Not that you're behind the credit card.
All due respect, there's a huge difference. No, I'm not trying to say that I'm a programmer. I am not a computer science engineer. But what I do understand is the communication level between the consumer, between the business, which in this case is the dealership, and the usage, and then the sometimes the biometric, but the there's a word I'm looking for. The information that we can share about you, right? Your ID information, because it passes through multiple hands in third parties.
But wait, Trent, just so we're not going too long into that, because I don't think people are really following. How does that translate into this is what people's campaigns are going to be about? How does this translate to? Nothing you said is telling me we're going to start campaigning on
on AI, that the election is going to be about AI. The election is going to be about what did you call universal basic income. Nothing you said. That was the point you were trying to prove.
Oh, gotcha.
You're not.
So I'll bring it back.
I don't know where you're going.
Haitian kind of derailed me on that. But what happens is what industries call a replacement of compensation. This is actually like replacement of jobs, and because there is significant replacement of compensation, it may not be replacing people's jobs right now, but it lowers the need. Typically, it lowers the need for you to hire additional personnel. And this is why we're starting to see an uptick in especially recent college grads. Their unemployment rate is starting to rise, incongruent to what we've seen in the past. And so I just in working with these things, I'm working with a video AI right now. The amount of people that are not needed that do graphics, that do video recording is going to be it is significant. It's not going to be, it is significant. And I don't see a system outside of, I will say this, outside of humanoid robots, which will end up taking over everything. Outside of that industry, I don't see another industry that's going to replace what AI is going to be.
Well, I don't see the correlation, honestly, between what can happen politically and how that aligns, or this somehow drives commonality between people, because that's what the original question was. That's what the Dupree introduced. That's what we were talking about. So we were just trying to figure out how there was going to be a correlation between the two, and it really doesn't seem as if there's going to be any correlation. That's my take. There'll be no correlation, and at least not in our near future, where that bridges a gap, or that that is some place where there's some commonality between the two. I think the closer and the closest that they're going to get with the commonality is with the anti-government, anti-establishment take that is conjoined by the Trump and the Bernie. The Bernie Bros, where they align on that issue. I think that's the closest place where there's going to be any commonality, and that's very fringe. Like, there's a very thin margin. There's not very many people, not even all of them, agree. But I think that's the closest.
The commonality is money and jobs. You're going to have more power in the hands of fewer people.
We have that now.
But yeah, I know. I mean, you use that now. Google and Meta employ far less people than General Motors and Ford and Chrysler did, in the car boom between the 30s and the 70s. I don't remember the exact numbers, but all the people that used to be, that used to be a middle class living of making cars. And what I'm trying to say is
tech is going to be the biggest employer, but not really, because they're not going to be any employee. Is that what you're saying? They're going to need UBI employees?
What's sad here is that AI will also make jobs, okay? People, like you talked about with graphics experience,